This episode of The Gaming Outsider is brought to you by eWin Racing, the home of the best heavy-duty gaming chairs. I can tell you from personal experience that I've never sat in a more comfortable chair at my desk. eWin Racing has chairs for gamers of all sizes, too. As a Gaming Outsider listener, you can get 20% off your purchase using our promo code TGO at ewinracing.com. eWin Racing, the best gaming chairs out there.
What's up, y'all? This is Mara Juno, and you might know me from World of Warcraft as Illyria Windrunner or The Walking Dead game as Krista, among a few others. And you're listening to the man, the legend, the Scott Clark, and the Gaming Outsider.
Welcome to The Gaming Outsider. On this week's episode, we're discussing puzzles in video games, whether they be buried inside our favorite games or full-on puzzle games themselves. In news, Miyamoto announced a live-action Legend of Zelda film in the works. This is not a drill. Sean Coates stopped by to talk about his experience with RoboCop Rogue City, as well as Roller Coaster Tycoon Adventures Deluxe. And also, Rel is playing a game he highly recommends called Astlibra Revision. This is The Gaming Outsider. Greetings, programs, and welcome to The Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community, which can be found at thegamingoutsider.com. It is Sunday, November 12th. I'm your host, Scott Clark, and joining me are my good friends, Mr. Zack Parkerson.
Hey, isn't it nice that the releases have slowed down?
Yeah, right. Also joining us, Miss Alyssa White. How are you?
Hello. Much better now that I'm with two of my favorite people.
Awesome. Chris Behrensmeyer is not here. He is in Vegas. He is attending a wedding out there and living it up. He's been sending us some pretty interesting pictures. He's never been before, so he's kind of blown away by the things that he's seeing in Vegas, which I kind of assumed he would have expected, but it is what it is.
It seems like a dangerous city for CB.
Yeah,
Yes.
It does, actually, now that I think about it.
He's
Especially if they have any video game stores.
Yeah, and he's just not afraid to spend money.
Right.
So in a city designed to take all of your money, it just seems a little risky.
I agree. I think he's also visiting California at some point, too. He wants to see some things down there, so he's got a lot going on.
Is his wife with him?
No.
Oh my God. They're in trouble, man.
Debauchery.
They're not going to hit that mortgage next month.
I know, right? Yeah. Anyway, the three of us have been playing games this week, even though Chris hasn't, although he probably brought a Switch or something like that. But we're going to talk about the games that we've been catching up on, and we're going to start with Alyssa.
Yes.
What have you been playing, Alyssa?
I completed Alan Wake 2. Fantastic game. Loved it. I specifically made that pretty much my primary focus this last week. And I loved every minute of it.
Yeah.
Every minute of it?
Mm-hmm.
Even the last hour or so? Because I thought it kind of ended on a little bit of a whimper.
Well, I will say I wasn't thrilled with the ending.
Okay.
That really sucks, because the storytelling is so good in this game, and to hear that it just ends on a whimper or whatever.
You know what? You know how it's just covered in Stephen King inspiration, and much like him, they don't know how to nail an ending.
Yeah. Doesn't know how to stick the landing.
Yeah. I mean,
I do keep go ahead.
The last, in keeping with the tradition, the last line is great, but the last hour and a half is, I don't know, disappointing.
Yeah, we'll have to do a spoiler cast for this, because there's a lot to talk about.
Very true. Yeah, but the journey is still absolutely worth it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, it's worth it.
I'm enjoying the journey, but I still am finding myself really liking the Saga stuff way more than the Alan Wake stuff, which is weird.
I did as well.
Because the title of the game is Alan Wake.
Yeah, but I mean, if you go to the Alan Wake subreddit, that seems to be pretty much a universal opinion that the Saga stuff is much better.
Oh, is it? Okay, so I'm not alone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we're in the majority on that one. I think it's just you get to see all the wacky characters, you know?
Yeah, and I loved meeting Mayor Setter. You were not kidding.
Yeah. Mayor Setter lives up to the hype.
I haven't met him yet.
Okay, yeah, he does live up to the hype.
What a character.
And without spoiling, Alyssa, you want to let everybody know how you felt about that moment.
It was amazing. I loved it. Brought my high school self out.
Okay.
I was watching that and I just could not believe what was happening.
It's a highlight of the game, I think. So there you go. See, Alan has the best part of the game, at least.
That's true. That's true. I just don't find his sections super fun. Like when you have to get the light sources and it's a really neat concept to, pick the scene and change everything by him writing it, whatever. That's really cool. It's just not fun. I don't know. And then I get frustrated where you have to run away from the dark presence, and it just doesn't seem to have any rhyme or reason until you do it 3 or 4 times, because I haven't done one where I haven't died at least once. Because it should just be simple, just run. Yeah. But then it's like, oh, run and turn around, and then...
I kind of forgot that was a thing until you just brought it up right now.
Yeah, it only takes place for 45 seconds at the end of each...
Well, it also doesn't happen in the last half of his campaign.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. It's like
I just finished the section.
Not like it just feels like they forgot about it.
Honestly, yeah.
I just finished the section in the hotel, which I thought was pretty cool storytelling in terms of it was I don't want to give it away, but the I don't know, it was a little meta. What was actually going on or what happened? I thought that was really cool, and just kind of seeing how everything went down, and there's just some things that you have to do that they don't straight up tell you what you're supposed to do, but it just seems like the natural thing to do, and I do appreciate those kinds of gameplay moments. So
I think
I got a ways to go.
The hotel, or the motel rather, it's very interesting for their connected universe.
It is.
It's a motel, not a hotel?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Is it? Well, it might be a hotel in this game.
Yeah.
Oh.
But I don't think
I don't remember the motel in the other one.
Yeah. Well, you go there several times, but it's all right. I don't want to give anything away.
Gotcha. I'll come back to it. So Alyssa, that's what you've been catching up on. How about you, Zach?
Oh yeah, I played Jusson, which I believe is the French pronunciation.
It is.
Mm-hmm. What a trip when you start the game. They have to give you the definition, because it is definitely not what I thought it was.
Oh, that's good that they give you the definition.
Yeah, because it's about a receding tide.
Oh,
but anyway, I think it's a fun little game. It's definitely in the Journey or Abzu style of video games. Just instead of walking forward, you are climbing up rather. I think it's very simple mechanics, but it's a neat system where I know you talked about it a few weeks ago. With somebody.
It was with David.
Yeah, David Newman
is what I meant to say. But I think it's a neat control system where the right trigger is the right hand, left trigger is the left hand, and you just have to keep them pulled in to keep your grip or whatever. It's a neat system, and it feels goofy for 10 minutes, and then you get used to it, and you're just zipping up the mountain in record time.
Nice.
But I thought it was a neat little game. It doesn't hit like other games of its style, I guess, because it does this kind of. I like all the climbing puzzles, and it's interesting. And every half hour or so, they actually introduce a new mechanic, which is cool. Which I guess which is easy to do when you're only 3 or 4 hours long. But it does this. I find it a little annoying the way they do the story, because in all of the cutscene and as you're playing it, it's all very silent, artsy fartsy, like these indie games are. That look like this. But then all over the place, you're just finding these documents that have paragraphs and paragraphs of information and correspondence between people. So it was like they couldn't. It was like they're trying to have their cake and eat it too. They're trying to be this artsy game, but then also try to build out this world, and I just don't think they work together very well. Oh. It just kept interrupting the flow of the game for me.
So the letters,
which is weird
weren't your thing?
For such a short game.
Yeah, it was a very short game. I would say 3 or 4 hours probably, which I guess is what Journey and Abzu were as well.
Yeah.
And those are the games I'm most reminded of playing this, but those are both vastly superior. This one didn't really leave an impact on me, which was a little disappointing, because these other games of this type kind of usually leave you with some kind of profound feeling, I guess.
Yeah, when the credits roll, you're just emotionally impacted.
Yeah,
usually.
Yeah, didn't happen here.
That's a bummer. Anything else you've been playing?
Yeah, well, at R2V2, I got a pretty sweet pickup, Saw, on the PS3.
I remember you telling us that.
First Saw game, and I decided, you know what, I'm in between games. I'm waiting for Gamefly, by the way, to send me Call of Duty, because I'm not paying $70 for a 3-hour campaign. But
nice.
But so I decided to kill some time playing Saw. In this game, I don't know if did you guys play this back when it came out?
I did not, but I saw YouTube videos of it, some of it.
Okay, yeah,
I got all the achievements.
Yeah, I was looking through the trophies, man, this thing's easy as hell. I played on 360 the first time, but I was replaying it, and it's got all the cool trappings, right? It's got Tobin Bell. That's the essential part. You need that. And you're doing these fun puzzles. It's just a very puzzle oriented game, which works for our topic this week. Like things where you have to get a code to get out of the room, but the door, the code's written on bathroom stall doors. So you have to line it up with the mirror and the reflection to look at the code to get the right number, stuff like that. Just these small little fun, simple puzzles, and it's got all the cool quick cuts of the franchise while Jigsaw's talking to you, and it really does, I think, in a very budget way, make you feel like you're in a Saw world. So it's a little ridiculous how they have to set it up to give you enemies to fight, because it's just not how the Jigsaw traps work. Right. Nobody, like, the enemies aren't being tested; they just have to kill you. I don't know. It seems kind of weird, but whatever.
Well, the trap's supposed to be the enemy.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because the boss battles in this game are traps.
Oh, boss battles. Cool. Okay.
Yeah, because
so you work your way to a trap.
Yeah, well, you'll have little traps along the way, where you have to like dig through a barrel of acid or finagle a shotgun collar or stuff like that. But then you have to help characters get out of traps, much like Jeff does in Saw 3. And you have to kind of help them get out of traps, but you always have to strap in with the person, basically. You can kind of like, so it's like the boss battle is like you trying to make sure you both don't die, which I think is a kind of a clever way to approach the traps, the bigger traps in the game. Because you pick up the audio tape, Jigsaw tells you about how you've wasted your life, and then you have to help people, come to grips. The combat is truly atrocious. I don't know if you guys remember that. I mean, it's unbelievable. Like you press the attack button, and some of the times he just doesn't do anything. And other times, if the other character like bumps into you at all, it cancels out your attack animation. So you're just mashing the button, hoping for something to happen, basically, and nothing does. So you just take a bunch of damage that you couldn't help but get, essentially.
Right.
Really, really quite terrible in that regard. Yeah, but and the character just controls really poorly. Just by any mechanical metric, this is a terrible game. But I'm finding myself loving it anyway.
Interesting. Of all the things I would have thought you would have picked up at R2V2, Saw was not anywhere. That just seemed totally random.
Dude, I'm a huge Saw guy.
It's a good franchise.
Absolutely. I've had to have seen all the movies at least a dozen times.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Holy cow.
I love the goofy, tight continuity that they're obsessed with filling in every single micro gap. It's just absurd.
Yeah, I will. I mean, I haven't watched all of them. I've only watched the first 4 or 5, but I had tried to go through them all over Halloween, but it's just hard to. It's a lot of movies to watch in a month.
It's an interesting franchise because they have made double the amount of movies where the main character is dead than they did when he was alive.
That's true.
Right?
It's pretty impressive stuff.
Well, I mean, he technically died in the second one, didn't he?
Like, no, he dies in the third one.
Yeah, I was thinking it was the third.
Oh, yeah, he came close to dying in the second one. Because I remember he passed out with a smile on his face.
Oh, yeah, it's because the cop was beating him up.
Yeah.
Because he told him, Scott, right to his face. If you just talk to me, I can assure you your son is in a safe place.
Yeah.
Just talk to me and everything will be fine. And he just couldn't do it.
Those little twists.
Dude, I don't remember. Does this game have the iconic twist song, Hello Zep? It must, right?
Hello Zep.
That's the name of the song when the twist happens at the end of every movie.
Oh, is it called Hello Zep?
Yeah, I didn't realize that was the name of it.
I didn't either.
Oh, because the twist in the first movie is because you think Zep is the bad guy. You think he's Jigsaw.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then after they kill him, they play a tape and it says, Hello Zep.
Oh.
And that's when the music starts.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Fun fact.
They do everything.
I told you.
It's pretty iconic, though.
Yes, I would think so. I would think you can't do the game without it. I do think it's funny that, because Amanda's in the game, but she's voiced by Cortana.
Oh,
but
okay.
And I'm like, Shawnee, I don't feel like Shawnee Smith could have been that, expensive.
Right.
Or you're playing as Donald Glover's character from the first movie, but he looks about 25 years younger than Donald Glover, and doesn't sound like.
So he looks like nowadays Donald Glover, like the musician.
Oh yes, he's close. He's closer to him. I'm sorry, Danny Glover.
I was going to be like Danny Glover.
Yeah.
I was like Donald Glover. That's Childish Gambino, right?
Yeah, you're right. Danny Glover. I apologize. Got my D's mixed up.
Yep.
The guy who's been too old.
I hate it when I have it.
Too old for this stuff. Well done. Yeah, but he does not look too old for this stuff. You know what I mean? Which is Danny Glover's iconic thing. But yeah. But it is good. They must have spent all their money on Tobin Bell, I guess.
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
Can't make a Saw game without him.
Which is funny because, like, did anybody know who he was before the Saw series? Like, I've gone back and watched some movies recently, and what did I watch? I watched The Firm with Tom Cruise, and Tobin Bell is in that. He's like one of just like a henchman.
Oh, really?
Like he's just like one of the mobs or the mafia's like cronies or whatever. And I was like, dude, that's Jigsaw. This movie is like 30 years ago.
Dude, I'll take Jigsaw on anything. I know he was in some horror show recently, but I can't remember.
I feel like if you put him in anything, it's just automatically known. Like people just automatically think Jigsaw.
Yeah, that was. I wish I could remember the name of the show. He was playing a kindly sheriff. I saw.
What?
Yeah, it was very.
I
jarring.
don't want to watch that.
It was very.
Look up what
that
show
would kind
this
of
is.
ruin it for me.
That would ruin Tobin Bell if he could act.
Right. Anyway, for me, outside of Alan Wake 2, I decided to play a little bit more Game for Me this week, and I played a bunch more of Turok 2: Seeds of Evil, which was originally on Nintendo 64 and they remastered for modern consoles. Because we got the Turok 3 is coming or is out. I can't remember.
The Shadow.
Which, if I remember right,
it's November. It's the tail end of November because they just had to push it back a little bit. I think.
Okay.
That's right. But man, I never finished this one on Nintendo 64. I played it, but I never finished it. This game is huge, guys. I'm just kind of blown away by how massive these levels are.
Yeah.
Like the first level is like an hour and a half long the first time you play it. Like just first level. Now, granted, there's 5 levels and then the final level. So, but just the stuff they've come up with in ways, to make you revisit. Like, because you got they're like these powers that you get that you get by acquiring a feather, and then you have to take it to some place to get like the leap of faith ability or the ability to walk on the acidy water and stuff like that. So you got to get it and then take it back to another level to be able to access new areas and stuff. A
little bit of gear gating up in Turok.
Yeah, I did not remember that. But then like the really cool thing is I started the 3rd level, I think it was yesterday. And in the first 10 seconds of the level, you get to ride a Triceratops with rocket launchers attached to it.
I remember that moment. That was the only Turok game my uncle ever had, was Turok 2.
I didn't know that was a thing, and I was like, holy cow, this is rad. But they've done a really good job with those mazes of making just like the straight up maze thing interesting. And it's helped by the fact that the character moves so quickly. It's just very fluid. Very slick. I really enjoy playing it, and the weapons are fun. And I love any kind of game where I can have a bow and arrow, so I can just fill enemies with arrows and retrieve them. I just love that whole concept.
I love the video game logic where a bow and arrow is always a one-hit kill.
Oh yeah.
Well, it is if you do a headshot.
Your Turok's a little different. I just mean like in most modern games, the bow and arrow is like it's the strongest weapon.
Right.
But you could shoot a guy with a shotgun 3 times before he goes down, but a bow in the leg, he's done.
The best part, I think of, not the best part, but a really cool part is that those arrows stay in the enemies, so they're like running around with an arrow sticking out of them. And what's really funny is there are some enemies that have this. They do this doohickey on their wrist to make themselves go invisible. But if you hit them with an arrow and they're not dead, then you just see your arrow like running around.
That's because so clever.
Invisible.
It is.
That's so good.
So you could still, see where they're not completely invisible. They do that little like wavy,
right.
Like you can kind of see them, but they're not really there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, they're hard to see, don't get me wrong, but it was really good. So that's what I've been catching up on. Let's go ahead and jump into the week's news. Got quite a bit of news this week. First off, a live-action Zelda movie is officially happening. Rockstar, this is barely news, is going to unveil a trailer for the next Grand Theft Auto in early December. There are more layoffs, but this time at The Escapist. The Steam Deck is officially getting an OLED version. And lastly, a woman in Arkansas is suing 5 video game companies for, quote, fostering addiction. Quite a bit to pick from here. Alyssa, what story would you like to talk about?
Oh, come on. Listen, I don't mean to cut you off.
Okay.
But why are we not letting Scott Clark go first this week?
Yeah, you go first if you want to.
His beloved Zelda is getting a movie.
Unless he was planning to save it for last, because the best for last.
There's no way we're not talking about this, right? I mean, there's just somebody's got to pick this one.
I know.
Yeah.
I was going to give that one to you, Scott. So
yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, Alyssa. This just felt important.
No, it's okay.
Yeah,
yes,
that's very much a Scott news story.
All right. Well, I'll take the first news story then. Shigeru Miyamoto himself announced on Nintendo's blog and on Twitter. This is the quote that he says. This is Miyamoto. I thought that was interesting that he actually introduced himself. This is Miyamoto. I've been working on the live-action film of The Legend of Zelda for many years now with Avi Arad-san, who had produced many mega hit films. I have asked Avi-san to produce this film with me, and we have now officially started the development of the film with Nintendo itself, heavily involved in the production. It will take time until its completion, but I hope you look forward to seeing it. Unquote. It's going to be directed by Wes Ball, who directed the Maze Runner trilogy. I only saw the first two of those. I don't think I saw the third one. Must have been very gripping for me.
I thought the first movie was great.
I really enjoyed the first one, and then I watched the second, and I'm like, you know what? I don't feel like I need to watch the third.
Yeah, I didn't see the third either.
So I mean, you're good just watching the first one.
Okay. It will be screenwritten by Derek Connolly, who wrote Jurassic World. That's going to be produced by Miyamoto, and Arad is behind every live-action Spider-Man movie that Miyamoto was referencing in his quote.
So you can guarantee Venom will show up in this movie.
Venom in a Zelda game?
Dude, Avi Arad is obsessed with Venom.
Is he? There's going to be some, we'll have the Venom logo just somewhere, on a random shield or something like that.
Man, you can hear Sam Raimi talk all about how Avi Arad was trying to get Venom in. As early as the first Spider-Man movie, he was trying to make Venom the villain.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then forced him to by the studio.
Interestingly enough, it's going to be co-financed by Nintendo and Sony Pictures Entertainment. So they're both paying for it. I don't know how you guys feel about this. I'm cautiously optimistic, but I am surprised they're going the live action version of this. I would not have expected a Zelda movie to be live action. I would have expected not like the Mario movie animation, but I would have expected some kind of animation, maybe something a little bit grittier, maybe. But how do you guys feel about this being live action?
I don't really have enough knowledge about the Zelda universe to be able to say what medium I think it should be in.
Mm-hmm.
But it is kind of hard for me to imagine it being live action. That's just me.
Well, I guess a counterpoint. I only could imagine Zelda in live action.
Okay.
There's something about the epic feel of the and I know I guess I know Wind Waker was a cartoon, but there's something about the epic feel of the Zelda story that I think works well in live action. I just think it's a medium well suited to the task. I wouldn't want to see. I already saw a Mario movie in live action, so I know how bad this could go. But there's just something about Link fighting Ganondorf that feels like it's going to be cooler if you can kind of feel the blades connecting that way.
Do they ever cross swords?
Do they?
Isn't it always like the tennis ball match?
There is that. You're right. Do they not in Twilight Princess?
Twilight Princess, don't you fight Zelda and then he shows Ganon just turns into a spider?
Twilight Princess? No, because you fight him on the battlefield. You're surrounded in a ring of fire. You guys are on horseback for a little bit.
Oh man, it's been a while since I played Twilight Princess.
Very, very epic and awesome. But
I'm gonna have to go back.
I'm looking forward to Ganondorf played by Chris Pratt, Link, Tom Holland.
I mean, that's the next big question: is who is going to play these characters? I mean, I love that news sites are there's so little information here that they're just making up their own. So-and-so would really like to play Princess Zelda. I'm like, well, of course they would.
Right, yeah.
It's a huge freaking role.
I mean, all of those actor wants job.
Yeah.
I hate those articles.
I do too. I mean, of course they do. Who wouldn't want work? Especially with everything that's going on right now. But,
yeah.
I mean, can you see anybody? I mean, I feel like it's got to be unknowns, right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd feel more natural, I think, to have an unknown actor, but I feel like they'd probably want to put people in that people know to try to draw the non-gamer crowd in.
Yeah, I feel like Link. Yeah, I can't think of anybody who should be Link outside of an unknown.
That's what I mean. Like, I mean, especially if you do like if there's going to be a child Link. Yeah, we have no idea what story they're going to go with. You know what I mean? I mean, is Link going to talk?
Yes.
Like, I mean, that's a big question. Link has to talk in a movie.
Yeah.
He talks in all of the mangas and stuff, so it's not unprecedented.
Yeah.
And I guess he is talking in Breath of the Wild. We just don't hear him.
That's true. Yeah.
You're making dialogue choices, so.
I mean, you technically do in all the other ones. Like, even Link to the Past has dialogue options.
That's right, but
it
used to just be like yes, no, right?
Right, but I guess he could do that with, a shake of the head or whatever. But
yeah. I mean, it would be funny if he just keeps getting cut off every time he tries to talk. That would be good. I would like that.
Yeah. I wonder which storyline they're going to go because, where do you even begin with the Zelda timeline to tell like an origin story? Because the timeline doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But I mean, Breath of the Wild is supposed to be the oldest, right? Or before Breath of the Wild, it was Link's Awakening. That was like before all the other games.
Well, Skyward Sword is the origin of the recurring souls.
Okay.
They get into all that about the curse and how Link, Zelda, and Ganon will always be reincarnated to fight each other, basically. So that's the first one. But I feel like Ocarina of Time probably is the most iconic story.
Right.
But I think I don't know. I feel there's something filmic about Twilight Princess.
Right. But and to your point, though, that's the nice thing they've got about this franchise is they don't have to have the same actors for every film if they could keep making more and not have the same people. Because Link is not the same Link in every game.
Yeah,
right?
That's true. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're all like descendants of the line or the lineage or whatever. So they could just start over, kind of pull like a Doctor Who and just have a different Link for each one.
In fact, they could just make this an original story, not based on any of the games, and just say it's another one of the reincarnations.
That's also true.
That's a good point, too. Or they could tell, they could just start a whole different, origin story for the entire story and make everybody angry.
Yeah, it could be like a fourth or fifth timeline.
Yeah. There's so many questions, and we have more questions than answers. We could sit here and speculate forever, but it is happening. And now I was not, of all the news things that I expected to happen this week, that was nowhere near the top of my list. And clearly this is just announced. But he says he's been working on it for years. Yeah. Does that mean just planning it? Because I feel like we're not going to see the light of day for this until like 2028 or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably a safe bet, right? 2027, 2028 or something like that. But
yeah,
I don't know. My concerns are more about the talent involved. Derek Connolly writing Jurassic World does not inspire me with hope. I don't think Jurassic World was a good movie. Maze Runner, I guess I did like the first one, so I'm a little less torn on Wes Ball. But Avi Arad the guy produced Morbius.
Yeah,
he doesn't have a great track record either.
I didn't see Morbius. Was it as bad as everybody says it was?
Yes.
Well, I watched it with my dad, and he really liked it, so that kind of improved my enjoyment of it. But it's B movie ish. Like I think sci-fi B movie.
The
sci-fi
first
channel.
half I think is decent, but the second half is garbage.
I mean, that was where the whole "it's Morbin" time was on Twitter for like months.
They never even said that in the movie, though.
No.
Yeah.
It would be awesome if he did. That movie would be improved if he did.
I was waiting the whole movie, too, for that line. And I'm like, they never said it.
This is also the genius producer who, with The Amazing Spider-Man 2, was trying to force a Spider-Man cinematic universe to happen. And that's why Amazing Spider-Man 2 turned out like garbage, because it kept trying to set up this whole other universe that they were going to build around these movies. So I don't have a great deal of hope for anything Avi Arad touches.
I mean, he did also produce the Spider-Verse animated movie, so.
Yeah, well, and then he sure did.
I don't know what to take from you saying that way, man.
I just find it hard to believe he was heavily involved. And then I look at how busy the second movie is compared to the first, and it makes me feel like Avi Arad did show up for the second.
That is true.
He's just
well. Here's the thing: we may not trust Avi Arad, we may not trust Wes Ball.
I'm fine with Wes Ball, but I do not trust Derek Connolly.
May not trust Derek Connolly, but you know who I do trust? Shigeru Miyamoto.
Yeah.
What
about that Star Fox Zero? Come on now.
You didn't play it.
No, I heard it was bad though.
No, it was fine, except for like this extra stuff they added onto it to incorporate the Wii U pad.
Yeah.
The game was basically a solid remake of Star Fox 64, like just a retelling. Man, I want to go back and replay that game. Now we need to do a Patreon episode on that game. Make you play that one. So yeah, Zelda movie. That's literally all we know about it. But I'm sure we'll be talking about that again in the future. Alyssa, now that I've had my moment in the sun here, what story would you like to talk about?
Let's talk about the woman in Arkansas who is suing 5 video game companies for, in air quotes, fostering addiction. The woman claims... The woman claims that the companies have created predatory designs and monetization. The companies being sued are Activision Blizzard, Microsoft, Epic Games, Electronic Arts, and Ubisoft. They are being accused of strict liability and negligence for not informing consumers of the potentially addictive design of their games while marketing them to young children and designing around encouraging spending on microtransactions. Her son is playing for about 13 hours per day, according to the mother. She says that the games have caused the following in her son: physical pain in their hands, elbow, and shoulders, increased weight and morbid obesity, diminished social interactions, a drop in their grades and inability to attend school, depression, a lack of interest in other sports and hobbies, a loss and/or lack of friends at school when able to attend, withdrawal symptoms such as rage, anger, and physical outbursts, loss of friends, which I thought that was just mentioned, and other emotional distress, mental anguish, pain, and suffering.
Zack?
Oh boy, you're gonna let me go first, huh?
Yeah.
It's... Oh boy, how do I do this? She's right.
I'm actually glad you said that.
These companies are predatory. They have psychologists and on staff, and these games are designed for maximum spending, and they absolutely are marketed towards children, which just feel gross.
It does,
it is designed in a way to make it addictive on purpose and to feed on FOMO, which I imagine for young people has to be stronger than any other generation because they were raised online, so you're just always seeing everybody's perfect life and how imperfect yours is. So I'm sure that's much easier to fall prey to. However, she loses me at the 13 hours per day thing.
Yeah.
That is absolutely on her. Let's how do I think? This is a great fight, but she is a bad spokesperson for it.
That's true, yeah.
The 13 hours a day is, why don't you just turn it off? There are parental controls on these consoles to restrict them. I'm sure he does have withdrawal symptoms. I am of the mind that anything can be addictive.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure he does have these rage and anger outbursts, but the only way to get past those would be to wean him, right? Go from 13 hours a day, and then next week is 12 hours a day. Then you knock him down to 11, etc. Whatever. But it just feeds the argument that young people don't know how to parent. They let the kids kind of rule the roost because this is all on you, as is the spending. It's your money that he's spending.
Yeah, like how is a kid spending money unless you're allowing him to? I have thoughts. I'm actually glad you led with the idea that there is stuff wrong here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the answer is. We're going to start putting warning labels on games like we do packs of cigarettes. You know what I mean? Like this can be addicting. Because that stopped kids from smoking before. So, I mean, it is a problem. I mean, but I think the bigger problem is that we as a society have gotten to a place where this kind of stuff is allowed. Because in my opinion, the younger generation don't want for anything.
Mm-hmm.
They have pretty much anything they've ever wanted. So this, like, the FOMO is so much worse because they're not used to not getting everything that they want. This kid is getting everything that he wants. Like, there's and the parent is blaming the video game company for creating something that the kid wants that she is not willing to give more than she already is.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you how many times I've had conversations with parents at my school where the kid is falling asleep in my class, and I ask, why are you falling asleep in class? Because I was up playing Roblox all night. And I talked to the mom, and I'm like, well, I took her phone away, and she went and got it in the middle of the night. How is it? I don't understand. How is it hard to keep a phone away from a child?
Right. It doesn't make any. Put it under your mattress or something. You know, there are 1,000 answers.
Or
lock it. Yeah, lock it in a safe or something.
Yeah.
I don't understand this. I had the year before, I had a kid that was doing this, and they put parental controls, and like, well, he hacked it and figured out how to. No, you gave him the password one time to let him do it, and he remembered it because he's a kid, and it's important to him to remember it.
Right.
Either that or it's his birthday.
Right.
Yeah.
I know it's easy for me to judge, even though I don't know if what I'm doing is judging because I don't have kids. Why are we letting the kids win? Like, we're letting them have their way all the time, and now it's the video game company's fault. Again, I'm with Zack.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are issues with it being predatory towards kids, and it's gross to market that kind of stuff towards kids. But can we start suing parents? Can I, as a teacher, start suing parents for?
Yeah, I was gonna say you have more interface with this than Alyssa or I do.
Mm-hmm.
But my only experience, it's like working in coffee shops or chocolate shops, and the kids absolutely getting their way, or or the kids that get their hands all over the glass, right? Which I would have gotten in trouble for as a kid. And any time I've been like, hey, can you not touch the glass? 100% of the time, parents go, hey, don't talk to him like that. Don't parent my kid. I've never had a parent go like, oh, you know what? Yeah, that is wrong. What is he? Why is he doing that? Not once. So yeah, there's something that happened in the generational shift where the kid has all the power now. Maybe it's an overcorrection, of the generation before being so emotionally distant that they weren't really parents or something like that. So now the next one feels very protective or wants the kids to have the childhood they never got, maybe. And maybe the next generation will find the middle ground. Who knows? But as it stands, it does, just anecdotally, I can only speak to my experience, it really does feel like the kids are in charge.
It does, yeah.
Really does. Did you watch that Bill Maher video I sent you?
I did not yet, no.
I think, I know you don't like the guy, but I recommend checking it out. I'd love to see what you think of it. It was shared with me. So for those interested, it is something about, just if you Google Bill Maher, Maher, and Bill Maher's Catholic School, I think is the name of the video. It's interesting the way that he talks about it, but yeah.
Alyssa,
yeah.
Well, you have a feminine perspective on this?
Well, I do agree that they are targeting towards kids because one of my cousins, ever since he's been about 4, has been playing Fortnite and Roblox, and I believe every Christmas, every birthday, he asks for V-Bucks because he wants to buy skins in the game. He wants to buy whatever you can buy in Fortnite. I've never played it. So definitely it makes kids want to purchase stuff. And I think one time he actually did purchase some things with a credit card that was linked, but they found out pretty quickly and they stopped that. But
not before it got like thousands of dollars.
He didn't get that far. I think it was like maybe $25, and then his mom noticed.
Say that stuff happens so often that I'm like, why are you stop linking cards?
Yeah, they unlinked the card after that.
Exactly, yeah.
But yeah, they do make kids want to spend stuff in the games because they want to look at their favorite characters or whatever you buy in Fortnite and Roblox besides skins.
And everything's time limited, right? So it's like,
that's true, yeah.
Oh my god, Harley Quinn's my favorite character, and if I don't buy her in the next 5 days, I'll never have her.
Yeah, that's true. And plus, they're rather expensive, aren't they?
Yes, they're like $20-25 a character.
I don't know
That's
how much that would
insane.
equal in V-Bucks, but
And I don't get it, man, because like I know this sounds weird, but when it comes to games like that, I don't play a lot of online games, but the closest I can use as an example is Rocket League.
Mm-hmm.
And I spent some money on Rocket League because number one, the game was free. You know, I didn't pay for the. I got it before it was. You had to actually pay for it, and I was like, I really enjoyed it, and I wanted a skin, and I wanted to support the developer because I really liked what they put together. So I picked up the Back to the Future DeLorean, and that's just what I use whenever I play it. I'm not the kind of person that just like rotates around, you know, with all these different things. I like kind of built my identity around that car. You know what I mean? So like in my mind, I want someone to see a DeLorean and think, "Oh, I wonder if that's Scott." Yeah. I don't know if it's somebody else because you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. Maybe kids don't think that way, but like I can't fathom how someone can spend thousands of dollars in a game like Fortnite to like keep up. Like, what are you getting out of that?
Momentary
like, go
satisfaction.
Buy a new PC. Just it's kind of insane to me.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think I'm the one who's played the most Fortnite. Perhaps,
probably because I've played 0 hours.
Yeah, I mean it's a really fun arcade shooter. And I bought a couple characters, but it was like the reason you said, Scott. I was like, I've played this game for dozens of hours now. You know, I think I've gotten $20 worth of entertainment.
Right?
You know, why not give a little bit back, etc. So I do think that's a good way to go about it. But you know, the way that they're preying on you weekly makes that it's just all too easy to fall victim, I guess. I would assume if you're young.
I want to go like 20, 30 years in the future and talk to these kids that have spent all this kind of money on it. I just have a conversation with them and be like, so do you think it was worth it? Like, was that like a status symbol to have all this stuff in Fortnite? I just really want to know.
Like, do they talk with their friends about, oh, I got this character in Fortnite and you don't?
No, I do think Fortnite has kind of an interesting character system because you can like set it to random, so you could get any one of your characters or whatever. I don't know. I think it is set up in a fun way. I could see why kids would want to have a huge collection of characters and accessories and stuff.
But like, remember when we were younger, like having a collection of something was like having a physical thing that you could show off. It
wasn't a digital thing.
You know what I mean? Like for me, it was football cards when I was a kid. Now, as I'm an adult, I have the physical copies of Nintendo games on my shelf, or action figures, or how jealous were we that we didn't get that G.I. Joe aircraft carrier thing?
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, talking
about
like
the size of a table, man.
Seriously, like I think I saw something on Facebook where it was like it's now 2023 and another year has gone by and my parents still haven't gotten me that aircraft carrier for my birthday. Those were it's something tangible to me. Like, it's so weird that like we live in a world where we're jealous of people that have something digital. You know what I mean? I can understand to some degree because I've been jealous of somebody that has a digital copy of a game before I did. I remember when Fallout 4 came out, somebody got a copy of it ahead of time. Like the mom and pop shops were giving them out before they broke release date.
Mm-hmm.
And here I was being legit and I'm a huge Fallout fan, and all I want to do is play Fallout 4. But that's to be able to play a game and have a new experience. That is not to show off to my friends that I have this Harley Quinn character, and you don't. Like, are kids online going, nah, I got this, you don't?
Probably.
Yeah, I think so, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do think also the mom is at fault with letting her son play for 13 hours a day in the first place.
Yeah,
definitely.
I want somebody someday, because I understand that this is not a ridiculous lawsuit, because like Zach said, there are legitimate reasons here. At some point, I want someone to make a legitimate lawsuit against parents.
Yeah.
Because of, in that video that I talked about, we'll talk about some of the distress that some teachers go through. Not things that I'm experiencing. There's like physical things going on in high schools and stuff that's just allowed. I can't wait until parents get sued, because for raising your kid in a way that allows this kind of stuff, and I want to just see if that's actually going to go. Because if something like this can be a suit, who's going to be the first person to do it? I just want it to happen. It's got to happen at some point. I will get off my soapbox now, but I could go on.
No, I understand.
Could go on.
I mean,
yeah.
Even if Scott Clark wasn't in my life, I do teachers just get treated so unfairly.
It's true.
Yeah, I'll tell you some stories offline.
Well, it's just, it's just, like the literacy in America is plummeting. That's no secret. But for some reason, the teacher in 7th grade is getting blamed for the kid not being able to read the alphabet, which he should have learned in kindergarten.
Right.
And yet somehow it's the teacher's fault, though.
It's always our fault. It's always our fault.
And my sister's a teacher too, and I've heard stories.
What? Oh yeah. Ugh. It is. It's a crazy world we live in. But Zach, what story would you like to talk about? Which negative story left on the list would you like to talk about?
You know what? I'm going to talk about the only positive story on the list.
Oh,
actually,
are you?
So the layoffs at the Escapists.
No, it does have a positive twist though.
This is a positive story because it's actually the only firing I read about was about Nick Calandra, the editor-in-chief. And he got fired for nebulous reasons. He said it was for not meeting goals that were not properly communicated. I'm sure we'll hear more because he refused to sign his NDA and put aside a severance for it, which I think is a baller move. It kind of speaks to the caliber of his character and explains why all the other staff members began to resign in protest, including Ben Yahtzee Croshaw. 0 punctuation resigned with him. That's crazy, man. He's been there for 17 years or something like that. 0 punctuation.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, the only name I knew from Escapist. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say that really backfired on gamers with the GAMURS is the name of the company that owns them. But yeah, I think they really messed up because now all of that staff that resigned, which is almost the entire video team, all left with Nick Calandra and now they're starting a new project called Second Wind. And
he pulled a Jerry Maguire. Who's with me?
And then but unlike Jerry Maguire, where it was just the one secretary that had a crush on him, it was the whole staff going like, "Yeah, I'll go with you.
Let's do it."
So I think this is a very positive story. They fired the guy for poor reasons. They assumed they were going to get away with it, as every company always does, every corporation, and then everyone quit with him. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. There's still some writers over there, but dude, it's crazy. And Nick Calandra, the editor-in-chief, he was a real one. When a lot of these video projects that came to the site, when they signed them onto the Escapists, it all had clauses of if you left, you keep your intellectual property. So most of all the shows that aren't 0 punctuation from the Escapists are going with them to Second Wind.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So that's pretty awesome. All the people that left with them, right? They could have stayed there and kept the shows, but they all decided to throw their dice in with Nick Calandra, which I think is super cool. And then, Yahtzee Croshaw has talked about, doesn't own the name 0 punctuation, but they don't own the rights to animated game reviews. So,
or his voice.
Yeah, or his voice. So, I think almost by the time this podcast is out, his new show, Fully Ramblematic, will be out.
Oh, that's a clever way to go about it. Fully Ramblematic, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't roll off the tongue quite as well, but it's still...
No, but it's certainly a distinct name. So, yeah, I mean, to me, this is absolutely a positive story.
Yeah. Do you think the Escapist is done?
What do they have left? I mean, they were... I
don't know.
Let's be real. As much as Nick Calandra talked about how every month they had growth there, financially and viewership-wise, under his editorship, let's be real. Like, the only thing most people care about is 0 punctuation.
Yeah, that's true.
And they
like I said, I didn't know there was anything else.
And they lost that.
Have they made any comment? Have they said anything?
Nothing.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything.
I mean, honestly, this makes me want to go follow Second Wind and just see what they do.
Yeah, they had like over 40,000 subscribers to their YouTube channel without putting up a video.
Wow.
And I'm saying the mobility of Nick and Yahtzee to 2 days later start a whole other company.
Oh yeah,
that's pretty crazy, man. That is.
Well, were they working remotely? I mean, I don't know how it works at the.
Yeah, I think so. I think Yahtzee is Australian.
Is he Australian?
I think so, right? Am I crazy?
By the way, they are up to 155,000 subscribers.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah,
I think people,
155,001. By the way,
do you subscribe?
I did.
Nice. Yeah, I'm subscribed as well.
I need to subscribe.
Yeah, so
I will pay attention. I just love the fact that somebody gets let go and he has the support of the people that literally gave up their jobs to follow him.
Yeah.
Like you said, what does that say about the content of your character?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And how supported you must have felt in your endeavors. And just must be a real stand-up guy.
Yeah.
A Kansas City man.
Oh.
Fun fact.
Didn't know that. Was he working in Kansas City at the time?
I
thought The Escapist was a UK thing for some reason.
Yeah, but he would, like you said, it's all remote these days.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. All right, well, that's the news. Thanks so much, guys, for checking that out. Want to remind everybody about Patreon. We finally have Patreon episodes up, guys. We have a way that you can help support the Gaming Outsider if you would so choose to and are financially able to do so. We've got a Patreon page, which can be found at patreon.com/thegocast. We got all kinds of tiers, and at the $3 tier, you get one bonus episode each month, and at the $5 tier, you get 2 bonus episodes each month. Our Peace of Mind episode with me, Alyssa, and CB is available. You can check that out. And also, we just posted today our trade-off episode with Kevin. That's where Kevin and I challenge each other to play games from our childhood that the other has never played before. This month, we did Streets of Rage 2, Marvel Land, Sunset Riders, and DuckTales. I had never played Streets of Rage 2 before, and I had never even heard of Marvel Land. I'm assuming neither of you have either. But
I hadn't before Kevin had played it.
Yeah. Kevin was a Genesis guy, so he didn't have Nintendo and Super Nintendo, so he never got to play DuckTales on the NES or Sunset Riders in the arcade or on Super Nintendo, although he did play that on Genesis. And we learned that there are some differences on the Genesis and Super Nintendo versions that pretty stark differences.
I mean, that was somewhat common for the era, right?
Yeah, but I mean, like, purely changes up the way the game plays. I mean, I'm not talking about like just like, oh, this one has blood in it and the other one doesn't have blood. I'm talking about like fundamental way that the game levels are designed. It's just I don't know. I'm just so used to like the modern era where, if there's slight differences, it's usually like in the way that the game works. Like from a technical standpoint, it's still the same game, but like, not different levels and playable characters and stuff like that. So check that one out. Also, later this week, we're going to have another Desert Island Games episode with listener Paul Hine. We're actually going to record that directly after this episode, so stay tuned for that. Again, if you'd like to help out, head over to patreon.com/thegocast. We would appreciate the support. With that, let's go ahead and jump into the new games that we've been playing. All right, Zach, lay it on us. What new games can people check out this week?
Yeah, pretty short list this week. Persona 5 gets yet another spin-off with Persona 5 Tactica. That's coming to all consoles and PC November 17th. I believe it'll be a Game Pass title as well. Super Mario RPG gets a remake onto the Nintendo Switch November 17th. The Walking Dead Destinies is soon to join the ranks of Kong Skull Island and the Lord of the Rings Gollum for wretched licensed games of the year. That's coming to all consoles and PC November 17th. The Forest Quartet is looks like a narrative puzzler coming to Switch November 17th. Worldless is a very interesting 2D action game coming to all consoles and PC November 21st. And then Jurassic Park Classic Games Collection, I assume Nate Lucas is excited about that. Coming to all consoles and PC November 22nd.
Is it true that that one is only coming to physical by way of limited run games?
Correct. I think they're publishing the digital collection as well.
Oh, interesting.
Because they did that. They do that now on occasion.
Yeah.
Alyssa, what game are you most excited about on this list here?
I definitely want to play Super Mario RPG because I've never played Super Mario RPG, so I do want to give it a shot and see if I like it. I'm also
well, you should definitely play it because we are doing a Break the Seal with Kevin Honigford, and it would be awesome if you joined us for that.
Okay. I should have access to it. So yeah, I'll definitely try it out. I am intrigued about 2 other games, but I don't know when I'll play them or if they're even something I'll actually play. I love Persona 5. Tactics games like this kind of are hit or miss for me, so that's the part that I'm kind of wary about. And the Forest Quartet, the story looks amazing. I'm just afraid I'm going to be too dumb for the puzzles, so I need to see some gameplay and stuff from that before diving in.
Understood. Is Kevin breaking the seal on the original Super Nintendo Paper Mario?
No, he's gonna play the new one.
Oh, interesting. I hope it's similar.
You think I should make him play the original?
Well, it's
the exact same game.
Well, that's not always the case with the remake. That's why I'm asking. But
yeah,
you never know what kind of remake you're going to get.
It looks like the exact same game with a fresh coat of paint from the trailers.
Yes, it looks like.
I've played that game so many times, and I'm talking things look exactly the same, just with new graphics.
They even kept Peach's question mark in her nightstand.
I don't remember that.
Oh.
Question mark.
You're playing as Mario. You can explore Peach's bedroom. If you investigate her nightstand, you find Peach's question mark. And it's like, oh, it vibrates. And then you slam the door shut.
It says it vibrates?
If I remember correctly.
I don't remember. I feel like I would have picked up on that.
Maybe I missed it. Maybe that's a little Mandela effect or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little wishful thinking.
No, well, there's also that DS game where she had to go and find her vibrating magical wand to make herself feel better.
Yeah, I do remember that.
That one did happen.
That one I know, yeah.
Maybe it implanted further back. Got a weird fascination with Peach's toys over there. Well,
it's gonna be a line at Nintendo in the next 20 years. Peach's toys.
They're getting hornier and hornier. Scott, what about you? What game are you excited about?
I mean, clearly Super Mario RPG. I've played through that game legitimately all the way through probably 5 or 6 times. I know that doesn't sound like a lot of times, but for considering the length of that game, it's a good 30 to 40-hour RPG. I've gone through and found the hidden boss from a Final Fantasy game that is in there and beat that. I've done everything in that game. I really wish it were on Xbox so I could go through and get some achievements and do that, but I will happily play it on my Switch. I'm hearing the theme songs literally in my head right now as I'm talking because I've played that game so much, and it's just such a great game. My worry about that one is that people are going to be expecting a Mario game, and this is like a legit JRPG. This isn't Paper Mario. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. There's a lot more going on here. It's like not a hardcore like a Final Fantasy 3 or anything like that. But it's like a step between Paper Mario and that. So, but yeah, I am also curious about the Jurassic Park collection because I've actually never played the Jurassic Park games from like Super Nintendo and Genesis, and I've heard good things about some of them. So, I would like to check those out. What about you, Zach?
Yeah, actually, the odds of me playing Mario RPG remake I think are pretty slim. Because of how similar it looks to the original game, I think I'd rather just play the original because I think it looks a lot better, like graphically. So I just don't see it. And if I was going to replay an old, and we replayed it only a few years ago for this very podcast, you and I, Scott, and
did we?
Yeah, we did an episode about it. Retro Outside.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah. That was a lot of fun then. But if I'm going to replay an old Mario RPG, it's going to be Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga. Obviously, the best Mario RPG.
Those are so good.
Yeah, they're
just the whole like clever thing they did with having Mario and Luigi like in the environment in the open world.
Yeah,
and like you could do things to access it was so clever, so good.
I think those games are great. I guess if I had to pick one on the list, it'd probably be Worldless. I think this game it's got a really striking style where your character's got the Rayman thing going on. You got no limbs or body, but whenever you attack, the body kind of fills in. I don't know. It's just kind of a very artsy look to it that looks really cool. And it looks like a pretty hardcore action platformer. I definitely have morbid curiosity about the Walking Dead Destinies, but I'm obviously not gonna pay any money. I'm not gonna pay any money to play that. I'd rather
morbid curiosity just because you like the property or you want to see how bad it is.
Oh, it looks well. I think the TV show is wretched, and this looks even worse. But
wait, you think the TV show The Walking Dead is wretched?
I think the first season is phenomenal, and then it immediately goes downhill.
The first season was amazing.
Those first like 6 episodes or whatever they were, incredible.
I agree, they were really good.
But just what is going on? I'm just curious about this year with all these terrible licensed games. But I guess if I had to play one, it would be Kong. I think Kong actually looked fun before release.
Yeah.
So I guess Worldless is my vote.
I think that looks really cool too. It reminds me of, oh man, what was that game that came out? Like, I mean, it was like a decade ago. Where you had the 2 different colors. It was like blue and orange.
Outland.
Outland, yes. like I know it's not the same type of game outside of it being a 2D platformer, but like the animation reminds me of that a little bit. So
I think it was a Housemarque game, right? The developers of Returnal.
That is the first game I ever talked about on a podcast.
Wow.
Is that right? Not joking. Yeah.
So you'll always remember it.
I will definitely always remember it, and I remember really liking it. So
that's weird because it's got the back and forth, the two sides thing that you hate.
Yes, that I do normally hate, which is why I'm struggling with the Alan Wake portions of Alan Wake 2. Because I just don't just pick one, just go. I just want to see the story.
See, that's with the put outer, the light switch thing.
Yes,
whatever they call it.
Or like with the puzzles, with the rechange the story. Like I'm in this room. Do I need it to be this one or this one?
Yeah, you just click on them until it finally works.
I say, luckily for those, it's always just one answer though. Yeah.
If you play it right, yeah. But I tend to want to explore everything and make sure I'm getting every item I can. You know what I mean? Yeah. So then I get back there and I'm like, which one was the original? Which one is the new one? And it drives me crazy. So. All right, well, moving on, we have some games to talk about, but not by any of the three of us because we didn't play any new games this week. But luckily, Sean and Rel stopped by to talk about 3 games that they checked out for us, and we're going to play those reviews for you right now. Well, hello there, Sean and Rel. How you guys doing?
Good, man. How you doing? Short time no see.
Yeah, I just saw Sean at he was here in town for R2V2, so I got to see him in person. It was awesome. I wish we had more time.
I know.
We're busy, but. We got a bunch of games to talk about, and we're going to start with Sean, because he is playing RoboCop Rogue City, which is, and you're going to have to remind me the developer's name, because it's the same one that did the last Terminator game, right?
That's correct. Tycoon, based out of Poland.
Okay. I have heard really great things about people that have been playing the demo of this game, and just how it captures the mood and tone of the RoboCop films, which I haven't seen. But
tisk, tisk.
Me neither.
Oh my God, what am I doing here then?
I'm aware of who and what RoboCop is, but I never saw the movie itself.
Yeah, I saw the first 20 minutes of the first one. Was shocked by how gory it was. I mean, I know it was the 80s, but just copious, ridiculous amounts of gore. I was just like, wow.
And it makes you think, and it's weird to think that after you got this R-rated movie, they made a toy line in video games on the NES for the kiddos, which is a very strange feeling, and looking back on it seems a little messed up.
Yeah. So did they get that tone right in Rogue City?
Absolutely they did, just like in Terminator before it. Tycoon is not a AAA developer by any means. They're definitely a mid-tier, but they're a mid-tier developer full of passionate people that understand the source material, just like Terminator before it.
Okay. The thing that has struck me as odd, that sounds like it would be frustrating, but people are saying it's actually a good thing, is RoboCop's movement. Because, when you watch those movies, he doesn't run.
No, he doesn't.
You know what I mean?
No.
He's very methodically moving, and apparently that continues in this game in first person, which sounds like it would be super annoying, but why is that a good thing?
Well, it serves the movie, and it follows the movie, first of all. But yeah, he is just a walking tank, and when you hit the left, when you depress the left stick, which is usually the sprint button on any first-person shooter, he just kind of does a brisk walk.
Okay.
And he doesn't crouch. This isn't a cover shooter. He doesn't duck behind cover and pop out and shoot. He's standing in the middle of the action, and you're just blowing them away one by one, which at first it sounds like it can get boring after a while. Yeah. Amazingly, it does not. The fun never stops.
So, I mean, this is going to sound like a weird example, but I'm in the middle of replaying Turok 2 from the N64.
Okay.
I don't know if either of you have played that game, but the third level or so, you get to ride a Triceratops and have rocket launchers, and it just makes the game feel like God mode for a couple minutes. I mean, it's only about a 10 or 15 minute segment, but what you're describing sounds like that just ratcheted up to 11. But what's that in Turok 2 it's not difficult. So what makes this one still a challenge and keeps it from being godlike?
Well, you're still vulnerable to attacks. I mean, you still have a health bar to look after, and you can find medical packs, or in this case, a RoboCop. It's like future juice for his mechanical functions, but
it's called future juice.
No, it's a power cell.
It should be
it's an OCP power cell. An OCP, because you guys haven't seen the movie, is the evil corporation.
Yeah, I'm down with OCP.
Mm-hmm. You know me. But because it's a video game, you will find these super high advanced RoboCop power cells in like a crack house, which doesn't make sense. But it still has to follow some kind of video game logic. Yeah. So that doesn't break the immersion anyway or anything like that. So that's just an example of video game clashing with the movie or just storytelling in general, even if it doesn't logically make any sense.
What about the cutscenes? Because I keep hearing about this infamous scene that apparently just captures the tone so well, where like a woman is upset because her son, she's coming to the police station to like check on her son, who she doesn't know but has been killed, and RoboCop just has this like no empathy. Your son is dead. Yeah, actually, that's another thing. Day. When you're not shooting people, you're out on the streets being a cop. Like, let's say you're on your way to a crack den or something, gun in hand, but then you look over and you see there's a car parked in front of a fire hydrant. You can issue a ticket. You can actually do cop things, and he has a scanner in his visor thing, and that's how he can shoot and how he can find targets to shoot at. But that's also his investigation mode, kind of like Arkham. Like, sure. Like Batman's detective mode. Same thing. He can follow a blood trail or figure out why there's a short circuit in the elevator controls, whatever, things of that sort. All right. So, are you recommending RoboCop Rogue City? Is it one that people should check out? I mean, I know it's a budget title, right? It was still a full price game when I bought it. Oh, but yeah, actually, I do absolutely. As the world's biggest cheerleader for Terminator, I'll take that moniker. I'll happily recommend RoboCop Rogue City, absolutely. And Peter Weller, the original guy who played RoboCop, is back doing the voice, so it adds a little extra layer of legitimacy to it. That's pretty cool, man. Well, thanks for checking that one out. I will add it to the pile because my backlog is pretty massive right now. But I do want to check. Was it? I hear it's hard to even get a physical copy of this game. I had a struggle finding an Xbox copy. PS5 is readily available. Like even on Amazon, I was looking at Amazon to buy it. PS5 version was going to ship the next day. Xbox version was going to take a week and a half. Wow. Yeah, just I guess Teon has a better relationship with PlayStation than they do with Xbox. I had the same problem with Terminator 3 years ago. Interesting. All right, well, let's move on and talk about the game that Rel's been checking out. It is called Astlibra Revision. He's playing this on Switch. It was originally on PC, right, man?
Yeah, I'm looking at the Steam page now just so I know who the developer and publisher are.
I have it down as Keizo. Keiz. Keizo?
Yes.
I'm sorry. You're the one that speaks Japanese, not me.
Yeah, Keizo. And publisher is Whisper Games.
Mm-hmm. So I didn't get much from the trailer. We joked a little bit before we started recording that I said it was Final Fantasy if it were Metroidvania. But I got a little Contra vibe. If Contra had melee attacks.
This kinda? No, but all right. It is the best. My first impression of it was Simon's Quest for the NES. Oh,
wow. I can see that.
Castlevania 2.
Yeah. And I would also liken it to Zelda 2 Adventures of Link. Because, no, not in a bad way, just in the style. So this is a 2D side-scrolling action RPG. A lot of people describe this as a Metroidvania. It's not a Metroidvania at all. Like, there's no interconnected world. It's separated out into chapters. Each chapter you go to a different location to complete a mission. You have a hub city that you return to in between chapters. And it's very much a fast-paced, like, action-y game, but with a very deep RPG system underneath it, where you get stronger in so many different ways. Like, it's bonkers, because you can go from, like, a save crystal, which, similar to Dark Souls, you touch the save crystal, you save, you restore all your health, but also you bring all the monsters back.
Mm-hmm.
And then you progress through the chapter, and then when you get to the next save crystal, you can, like, strengthen yourself in, like, 3 different ways, just from all the nonsense that you picked up. whether that's like just experience points, which feed into your basic level. Each enemy drops a particular color of crystal that you can then use to get little stat boosts on a grid that like branches off into various places. And they're like tiny stat boosts, but you can get a lot of them in a row. And then you can get new equipment with all the like item drops that you can get. So like new equipment, for instance, you don't just buy it. You have to find the materials and buy it and craft it. And there's chest drops, which can give you like special formulas for crafting, and that you very early on get a set of scales where you can just place items onto it. And if they balance with a perfect karma, then you get stat boosts there as well. There's just so much going on, and it is a very fast-paced, action-y game that looks very flashy, especially once you throw in like the magic skills that you can interweave between attacks and the abilities that you gain from mastering the equipment that you can find, and etc. and so on. It's a lot.
That sounds like it has the potential to be overwhelming with how much stuff there is to upgrade.
Kind of. Well, that's the thing. By the time I figured out what the scales did, I already had a grasp on the growth system where, you know, you get crystals from monsters and you pump that into the various little stat points. That was pretty easy to get. And then once I figured out what the scales did, it's like, well, all right, I already got all the rest of this stuff down. It's just one more thing. Do. Fit items on scales, done.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, what's the story like? What's going on?
The basic premise, like it opens with the main character and his sister running from a giant monster. Giant monster gets them. Main character wakes up somewhere, has no memories of the past. There's a talking crow, also no memories of the past. They're trying to find the main character's hometown and hopefully his sister. Don't know where it is, don't even know the name of the town, but they're off on an adventure, and they haven't seen anybody for 8 years, and all of a sudden they run into people. And then it gets weird.
In what way?
I don't even want to talk about it because there's certain aspects of it that are like kind of spoilery, but it's really like whoever came up with this just decided to pick the most outlandish and creative ideas and just be like, all right, throw that in there. And it works. It works.
That's good to hear.
You know, it's not like it's not a head scratcher. It's just like, oh, okay, so that's what's going on.
Interesting. So talk to me about the combat, because you know, I mentioned Contra, and I think that was mostly because I feel like the animation of at least the boss enemies or the larger enemies, if you will, have that like, I don't know, Chinese puppet thing, almost like like Paper Mario enemies where it looks like they're paper. They like when they move, like the head tilts. You know what I mean?
I can kind of see that in terms of like the animation style, and it is very like memorize the pattern so that you don't get yourself blasted. Right. But like the combat, you can equip a bunch of different weapons. All the different weapons have different attack like styles. You can find various abilities like a backstep, weapon throw, uppercut, down slash. There's even more stuff that I have not unlocked yet, but it's very fast paced. It's definitely action oriented. And the very nice thing about it is you can build your character however you want, and you can respec pretty much whenever you want.
That needs to be the standard from this point on.
Yeah.
with this kind of game.
And there's no limit to it. If you find a blue crystal, which is located in a lot of different places, and every time you level up, you can remove all your stat points and then put them somewhere else if you want.
I like that.
Yeah.
Very cool. So you recommend people check this one out?
It's weird because if you asked me half an hour into the game, I would have said, it's kind of janky. I don't know. But now that I'm like close to 7-8 hours into the game, it's like, yeah, this is one of those diamond in the rough type games. It's definitely a sleeper hit. I absolutely recommend it to people who like action RPGs. Just, be prepared for a little story weirdness. It's fine. Just go with it because the gameplay's fun. Like, I want to play the game right now.
I hear you, man. Yeah, I've been playing Alan Wake 2, so I'm clearly okay with story weirdness.
Fair enough.
I don't know if you guys have played that, but there's a moment in that game. Wow.
I've heard about the thing that you're talking about because I was spoiled, and I really do want to play the game.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty good. I haven't eclipsed that moment yet in terms of it, but the game is still really, really good. It's very interesting. So, all right, that is Astlibra Revision, which is on PC and Switch. So I'm definitely gonna keep that one on my radar as well. That's 2 more games I got to add to my pile, guys. Thanks.
You're welcome.
I don't have enough to play right now. All right, last one I want to talk about that Sean's been checking out, called Roller Coaster Tycoon Adventures Deluxe. Now, I have never played the Roller Coaster Tycoon games. Rel, you have, right?
Yes. However, I did not play them as a child. My big thing when I was a kid was SimCity.
Same.
Roller Coaster Tycoon, I only started when, I was like a teenager. I had some fun with it, but I was never really good at like designing roller coasters, so I didn't get as deep into it.
Okay. So, Sean, tell me about this version of it. Is it the same game just with some add-ons, or is it a brand new game?
No, it's not. This is not a tentpole release. This is actually an adaptation, but a port of a Switch version, which was then adapted from a mobile game version.
Oh,
so it's a little more bare bones than a standard Roller Coaster Tycoon game or any park builder of that sort. Graphics are very cartoony looking.
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, no, same here. But like the last big tentpole Roller Coaster Tycoon was really hell bent on realism. Mm-hmm. It's definitely a more cartoony, baby's first park management sim. If that makes any sense.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I guess it's a good thing because I've only played the first one. I've never played any of the second or third or any of the other releases in the franchise. So in terms of what this game can do, it's pretty much on par with what the first one did 20 years ago.
All right.
Doesn't really do anything new. Like you can't do what's a major feature in the major games? Oh yeah, first person ride, ride your creation. Like it doesn't have any of that stuff. And I too, just like Rel, I wasn't I'm still not getting the hang of the create your own roller coaster, so I just stick with the pre-mades that you can plop down a bunch of pre-made roller coasters.
Right.
So that's what I mostly do. But this was also, by the way, developed by Invisio Creations and published by Atari. And they really want to let you know that Atari is involved in this game, in terms of those drop tower attractions you see at theme parks. Well, in this game, it's modeled after Tempest. The Tilt-A-Whirl is based on asteroids. There's a food eatery called Atari VCS where the building looks like the Atari VCS console, and all the benches and tables are modeled after a controller.
That's pretty funny.
Along with other things, but those are just some of the examples. But yeah, they really want to let you know that Atari published this.
Yeah, Atari's really trying to make a name for itself these last 6 months or so.
But also, they also did publish the franchise. They always have, even going back to the first one.
I did not know that. That's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
So talk to me about playing this game, because when I think of sim management games like this, I think mouse and keyboard, but this is going to be on this. You're playing this on the Switch. How does that translate playing it with an analog stick and buttons instead of having a mouse?
Actually playing it on an Xbox. But
my apologies.
All good. Just like that's the one thing I do, because I loved all these management games on PC, but since I don't have a functioning PC that can play these kind of games these days, I have to stick with console ports. And the first thing I look for is if I can play them well, if it's too janky and they didn't make any good translations between the PC and the console ports. And they did a pretty decent job here. Like I said, the only thing that I'm still having trouble with is building my own roller coasters, but otherwise it translates pretty well.
Okay. So you mentioned it's kind of like baby's first Roller Coaster Tycoon, and that makes me think, and again, I don't mean this in a bad way, this is actually in a good way. It reminds me of Civilization Revolutions, which is like a not dumbed down version of the original Civilization, but a more accessible version of that.
That's what I mean by baby's first. It's more accessible, and it has the same amount of features as like the original roller coaster.
Because, man, Civ Rev was freaking fantastic. That was such a great version of Civilization. If you didn't want, you could just like play a session in a couple hours as opposed to, 16 or whatever that you did in the original Civilization. So should people check out Roller Coaster Tycoon Adventures Deluxe?
I'd say so, but actually, I would say get the old Switch version. The Switch version was actually 3 or 4 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So this is it's perfect for an on-the-go thing, and because of the graphics not being too demanding and cartoony, I think it would work well on a portable system if you want portable Roller Coaster Tycoon. This and probably cheaper too, yeah. But this Xbox version, it just has more bells and whistles and more attractions you can plop down and stuff. That's really the only difference to this port.
Very cool. Well, thanks so much, guys. I appreciate you both stopping by to talk about it. I think I need to play all 3 games. I'm apparently never going to have a life again outside of working and playing games. So thanks.
You're welcome. That's the plan.
Happy to help.
Absolutely. Well, Raul, congrats on the new house, man. Glad you got all moved in. I didn't even know. So congrats. And Sean, it was awesome to see you in person again. That's twice now.
Hell yeah, brother.
I went to your city. You came to my city. I guess it's my turn. So I'm going to have to
come out to LA
next time I'm in LA. So, all right, guys. Well, you have a wonderful evening. We'll talk to you next time. All right.
Later.
See ya.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate that, guys. As always. Very quickly, want to remind everybody about where you can follow the Gaming Outsider. If you'd like to join an awesome community of gamers, head over to facebook.com/groups/thegocast. We have a couple new members over there. Somebody by the name of Zack. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but Alyssa, you're the one that knows Japanese better than any of us.
I don't know if that's Japanese or not.
No? Okay. Zaaki. And then also someone with the name of Ellery Frost joined Facebook, so welcome over there.
That's a cool name.
Also, our Discord is live and thriving if you'd like to join the community over there. The link is in the show notes for this episode, and we would love it if you checked it out. Also, if you get a second, do us a favor and drop us a review over on Apple Podcasts. It helps us get the word out about the Gaming Outsider, and we would appreciate it. And lastly, our website is thegamingoutsider.com. That's where you can find reviews for all of our any games that we actually review. We would appreciate. We got some new ones coming out here this week. Again, the website is thegamingoutsider.com. With that, let's go ahead and jump into our From the Outside In topic. I don't know how we've gone this long without talking about puzzles in video games, but I could not find an episode where we did. And after playing Alan Wake 2, which has some great puzzles in my opinion, I thought we could talk about both action games that have puzzles in them, as well as straight up puzzle games themselves. So first off, I want to ask the two of you, how do you feel about puzzles in games that don't fall directly into the puzzle genre? So we can't talk about puzzle games here. This is games that just happen to have some puzzles in them. Do you enjoy them, or do you find yourself distracted by them? And while you're at it, what are some of your favorite inclusions of puzzles in games, if you have them? Zach, I'm going to start with you.
Oh, man, I love puzzles in games that aren't puzzle games.
Yeah.
Whether it's a Zelda dungeon, trying to solve all the complexities there, or even the little pace breakers of Uncharted, where they're not very difficult at all, and he's always got the journal that gives it away anyway if you need it.
Yeah.
So I think I think they're wonderful. Or even I'll even take a Resident Evil thing about finding the right keys or jewels or whatever. Or I remember there was a cool one in Resident Evil 7 where you had to make the right shadow off of a light projector.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're wonderful. I think they're just wonderful little ways to change up the gameplay. And I actually, I often feel like action games are missing something if they don't occasionally throw in a puzzle.
Oh, interesting.
Just to work your brain in a different way. I guess I wouldn't, want it to Devil May Cry or something. But
what do you mean? Like you wouldn't want it in a Devil May Cry? Is that what you said?
Maybe not. Although, actually, I don't know. No, I think I would. I lied. I take it back. It would be nice to see Nero have to solve a puzzle by roasting some marshmallows the right way.
I was going to go there, but you beat me to it.
But, I do. I think it works wonders. I don't think Uncharted would be half the franchise it is without them, or Tomb Raider, or anything like that. So, yeah.
Interesting.
They're, not only do I like them, I love them.
Wow. I really was not expecting that answer. After your response last week when you said you have some thoughts about puzzles in video games, I really was expecting it to be a negative response.
My thoughts were all positive.
I did not realize that.
I guess I hear a lot of online chatter or podcast discussion when they talk about how, puzzles, they're just there to, artificially extend the game, or they're not even hard anyway, so why are they there? And it's like, because they're fun, man. It's fun to do.
Yeah. I'm with you. Alyssa, how do you feel about puzzles in games?
I'm very mixed about them because I enjoyed them in like Uncharted or Tomb Raider, but most of the time, I'm just not good with puzzles usually unless they're, kind of, we'll talk about it in the next portion. But anyway, I'm not good with puzzles generally. My brain just does not compute them. So unless they're super easy, or they tie into the story in a way, they just don't usually make sense to me, and it just makes me frustrated. And usually I have to go to YouTube.
I do that a lot as well.
So I'm not the biggest fan of puzzles, but if they're done well and they're not too difficult, I don't mind them. But if they're just thrown in and or they're extremely hard, I get so frustrated. I'm like, I don't want this.
I'm in the same boat, and that's why I already mentioned it, but the puzzles in Alan Wake 2, I feel like are perfect. They're not super difficult, but they're obtuse enough that they make you feel like you figured something out.
I agree, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Except for the stashes, man. Sometimes you gotta do straight up math.
I haven't had to do math in a stash.
Yeah, there is some math.
Like there'll be like, if you take X away from Y and then you multiply it by B, what's left over for D? Yeah, for a teacher, you're probably all in. Yeah. For me, I was like, man, I haven't done algebra in 15 years. I don't know what to do here.
That makes me think of A Space for the Unbound that I played earlier this year. I'm amazed I solved that algebra puzzle without looking anything. Well, I couldn't look anything up. I was reviewing the game, but I was tempted to call Scott, but I'm like, I can do this. And I finally solved it.
I wish you would have.
If I would have remained stuck, I would have called him like, Scott, can you please answer this for me?
Oh, that would have been so much fun to like solve a math problem with you.
Can you imagine getting a phone call from either of us? You would have to assume it was an emergency, right?
I know.
Well, now
right?
you know A Space for the Unbound has an algebra puzzle. So if you ever want to play that, I'm not going to
go play it just for that.
I love the idea of me trying to do that algebra puzzle in Alan Wake and then calling up Scott and he's like, "Dude, what's going? Is everything okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man. How do you solve for A again?" Talk to me like I'm 10.
It is kind of crazy that we do that. I called somebody the other day, like that I normally just text, and they're like, "Is everything okay? Is everything all right? What's going on?" No, dude, I'm driving and I just can't text, so I thought it'd be easier to call because it was been too much to text.
It is alarming. Anytime I get a phone call from anybody, I'm like, somebody died. Who died?
Yep. Yeah, totally. I'm with you. Oh, I want to talk about the Alan Wake puzzles really quick. As an example, I'll do this without spoiling the solution to the puzzle because it seems painfully obvious to me, but it might not be to somebody else. And you guys have already beat the game, and I think I'm about the halfway point of the game. But when you get to the coffee theme park,
Coffee
you guys
World,
remember the coffee world?
Yeah.
And there's a puzzle that says only the striped cups,
right?
And I was like, well, the only cups I see are there, so I'm just going to see. I just thought that was so clever. Like it's just something simple that like the people that are leaving these clues to be a secret to somebody else are clearly like it's not that complex of a puzzle for someone to solve. Or the one where like another in the gift shop where you find a note that one of the brothers left for the other brother.
Oh yeah.
And the number of beans and I don't know. I just love that kind of logic puzzles, but they're not Mensa level IQ testing. You know what I mean?
That's why I always admire this game design because it has to be difficult. It can't be too difficult that you get frustrated and annoyed because then it ruins your experience. But it has to be difficult enough to trick you into thinking you're being smart.
Yes. And that's the beauty of a lot of the puzzle games I'm going to talk about shortly. But yes, I think the trickiest puzzles in Alan Wake are the ones where you have to put the dolls down on the chalk drawings. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Oh, the nursery rhymes? Yeah.
Yeah, the little nursery rhymes, because some of them are pretty obvious, but some of them you got to kind of backwards think your way into them. And I think they're pretty clever, but that's the extent of difficulty those puzzles get. I get more annoyed with do I put the light in my little lamp or do I not put my light in my lamp? You know, those are more frustrating to me than the actual puzzles in that game. I'm a little mix of both of you. I feel like when I was younger and I was not trying to get through games as much as possible, I loved puzzles just because it was a way to shake up the game and make it interesting. And the logic things made me feel smart. That was why I liked Zelda to begin with, right? It's funny. I don't really think of Zelda as being a puzzle game, but it is. It's a puzzle game with an RPG wrapped around it.
Yeah, yeah. That's the interesting thing about Zelda, right? Especially the 3D ones. It feels like they're puzzle games first.
Exactly. I mean, you could say maybe the first one was more action that had puzzles intertwined in it, but yeah, Link to the Past, Ocarina of Time, and Majora's Mask are puzzle games that just has an open world for you to interact with. I mean, and I think it's awesome because of it. But some other ones. Oh, anyway, to my previous point, as I get older, I am so engrossed in the story or in completing a game that I find myself getting distracted by it, or I'm worried that I'm not going to be smart enough to do it. I hate the feeling of staring at a puzzle and going, I don't get it.
Yeah, same here.
Because I'm a pretty smart guy, and I hate feeling like I'm not a smart guy. And when I have to, stoop myself to go look up something on YouTube, or God forbid, try to find a text-based way to solve a puzzle.
Yeah, good luck.
Which are getting, it's really stupid, man. When you Google something, it's like 15 videos pop up.
I know.
I don't want to watch your video and ask you to smash the like button.
I know.
I just want to know how to solve this puzzle. I can read pretty quickly.
In the videos where they keep messing up and you're like, when's the correct solution for this puzzle?
Right, and usually I'm on my phone, so like trying to scrub a YouTube video on your phone is like is a lot more difficult than using
what I do as
the computer.
They'll do the recipe thing where they have to tell you a whole story beforehand. Like, yeah, so
my God.
You're just trying to look how to move the wall to the left, and they're like, yes, at the beginning of this level, it's pretty crazy what happens with Kratos. It's pretty intense, and then. Of course, and then who could forget this? And then you walk for 5 minutes before this combat encounter was so tough. Anyway, the puzzle, this is what you have to do. It's very
I feel like someone could make $1 million if they came up with a website for recipes that is just recipes.
I know.
You would think, right?
Without the live story attached.
Just make it 99 cents a year or something. Just clean up.
I mean, even like an Etsy related arts and crafts project, like if I want to make something for my students, there's always like this 4-paragraph thing before that. Anyway, drives me crazy.
The topic, I guess.
Yeah, I found I do have an app called Tasty that is a pretty good place to keep track of. That should be in my thing at the very end, maybe. But anyway, like I said, as I get older, I find myself feeling like puzzles are more of a roadblock when I'm not playing a game that is a puzzle game, just because I want to move on with the story. I'm more intrigued by the story than the puzzles. And I'm hoping this is just a getting old thing, guys, and maybe you'll experience it when you get into your 40s and time is a little bit more precious than it was. I'm not saying I want you to have the negative experience I'm having. I'm just it's to validate myself. But there are some games where I really did like it. As weird as it sounds, I love the Pipe Dream games in the BioShock series.
Oh yeah,
I really enjoyed those, and I'd never played Pipe Dream before. And it's straight up Pipe Dream. That's exactly what that game is. I really enjoyed that, especially because it felt like a reward for doing it. You got to hack the machines, or you got to get cheaper prices in the Circus of Value machines. I do like that. So
the Circus of Value.
Oh, dude! I told you I bought that on Switch, and I started it up, and like immediate nostalgia.
Yeah.
What year was that?
2007.
2007. Oh my God, we're coming up. I mean, that's 17 years ago. It's getting close to 20 years old, that game. Oh my God, that's nuts.
I'm still always impressed by Zack's ability to memorize dates like that.
Yes. You know who else is really good at that, by the way? Chris Owens. You give him any movie, and he will give you the date, like the year it came out, like on the spot. I've tested him on this. He's missed like twice in my entire time I've known him in the last 20 years.
So impressive.
Yeah. So, yeah. Did you guys have any other games that include puzzles that you really appreciate that we missed?
Oh, yes, favorites. BioShock. Well, I think BioShock Pipe Dream, that's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a soft spot for any light reflecting or refracting puzzle.
I do too.
Think of the the Spirit Temple in Ocarina of Time is great because you get the mirror shield, which I love, and they use it for oh god, and they use it for the boss fight too.
Yep.
Oh, I'm so happy I have a kindred soul and the love of
the moment when you line up all of those and it goes ping 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 and like it just
so
does
satisfying.
Oh, it was so cool.
There's a great one of those in Sands of Time where you have to you're climbing up and down a library and moving puzzles or moving mirrors around the whole time. It's just very satisfactory. You're basically carrying a light beam around for 40 minutes to get it to the end. It's very satisfying. And really Prince of Persia was going to be my favorite inclusions in general, just because they often do such a good job of mixing the platforming with the puzzle solving.
Mm-hmm.
You have to, there's an orrery, the planets lining up or whatever, but you have to move them by platforming the correct way to get them all lined up together. And it's just such a clever interaction. And then of course Zelda is wonderful. It's kind of, as much as I love the shrines in Breath of the Wild, there was something so satisfying in figuring out a dungeon because you just felt smart. And
it was a whole dungeon. It felt like the whole thing was interconnected instead of this 2.5 minute thing.
Like this whole like a clockwork operation. Yeah, which is why it's why I love the Water Temple in Ocarina of Time, because it was so complex to figure out. Or the Great Bay Reef in Majora's Mask. I love that dungeon so much. So Zelda's just great for that. A Tomb Raider, is also very good for this. But Prince of Persia, I think, it's top of the game when it comes to this stuff. And it's a shame they haven't made any in a long time. And even the one
that's not how it goes.
Yeah. And even the one they're about to make looks a little more action oriented. But just a lot of clever. I like when you have to play abnormally as well. When it makes you just think outside of the box. A lot of games do that. Like where you have to, where you're confronted with a boss you can't beat, so the answer is to put away your sword or something like that. I always think those moments are clever too.
Or like the Metal Gear Solid moments.
Yeah, those sure do make you think weird. Yeah, what a puzzle it was to change your controller port.
I can't tell if you're being serious, but I thought it was brilliant.
No, it was. Yeah, of course.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's hard to differentiate your sarcasm sometimes.
I understand.
Alyssa, did you have any?
Not really. I guess I would say any that are basically just you have to decipher what something is from reading.
You do like those?
I love those. Yeah, it's probably because I just like reading in general. My brain, when I read, can draw the images forth. So those nursery rhymes in Alan Wake were really pretty simple for me, but I still really enjoyed them.
Plus, you can do it at your own pace.
Yeah.
Like whatever your reading skill is, whether it be super fast or you just need to really kind of absorb it. That's got to be satisfying.
So that's easier for me than trying to move things around, trying to figure out what kind of objects I need to get. It's just easier for me to read something and then put the pieces together that way. Mm-hmm. So anytime I have to read a puzzle and figure out what I need to do, I enjoy that the best. But I don't have any specific ones in mind.
Okay. I think BioShock is my go-to, but you guys already both mentioned Tomb Raider, and I didn't play the Tomb Raider series on the PlayStation, so my first Tomb Raider game was actually the reboot, the first reboot, and I was just blown away by those tombs. Like, just they were so much fun, and I didn't care that. Why is this thing still functioning even though it's been sitting here for 1,000 years? Like, I didn't care. It was just really cool. And like, am I the first person to have ever solved this? Because why is this minecart still here?
Yeah, man. It was waiting for Lara.
Yeah.
Do special shout out to the Midas puzzle in the first Tomb Raider game, where you have to get these gold bars to pass the door, but you keep finding lead around the environment. But then you have to take the lead to the broken. There's a statue of Midas that's broken. You have to put the lead in its hand to turn it to gold.
I do remember that.
Shout out to that puzzle.
Oh, to turn the
lead into gold.
Yep.
Oh, that's pretty clever.
It's pretty good. And don't jump in the hand because you'll turn to gold.
I remember
really?
I did that just to see what would happen. And you do actually turn into gold.
You just hear Lara screaming as she dies, getting turned into solid gold.
In PlayStation 1 graphics, I really want to look that up and see what that looks like.
Dude, it's incredible. You should.
Yeah, do it.
It's pretty great.
That's awesome.
And another shout out to God of War. We have to there's a prisoner in a cage, and the whole time he thinks that you're like dragging him to like release him, but you're really dragging him so you can melt down the metal for something. So you just burn him while he's in there. He's just screaming for his life as you're bringing him to the furnace, but you still have to get him through the maze anyway.
Wasn't there also in Dead Space? I mean, this is not really a puzzle. It was just like a key card, basically. But the key card was a retinal scan, and you had to basically, or was it the hand? You just had to take a severed limb up to like the hand scan. Like I thought that was really cool.
That was pretty great.
Man, I missed the Dead Space series. Why can't we get more of
that? You just played one in January.
No, I know, but it was the same game. Like I want more of the story.
I think it was pretty different.
Yeah.
Isaac talked.
We never did play 3, by the way.
I'm surprised. I'm really shocked to hear this.
Well, it's really difficult. The only way I can play with you is if I get up at the butt crack of dawn
I'm
and play for like 3 hours.
I legitimately am, so don't worry.
What are you gonna do, like if you're still got that job and I come out to visit, like in the summer?
Well, I would just call in sick.
Be on third shift?
You know.
No, I don't want you to call in sick.
I would. Oh, then I would lie to you until you have the day off, and then call in sick.
All right. Yeah, BioShock is the one that comes out. There's so many though. Did you guys like the puzzles in Hogwarts?
I never played it, so.
Oh yeah, the Merlin trials were fun. They were just like short little puzzles, but they were neat little changes of pace. Especially ones where you had to like use physics, like you had to roll a ball down a hill the right way or something like that. Mm-hmm. But none of them really stand out because they were just over so quick. A little bit like the shrines in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, even in Tears of the Kingdom, I can only think of like 2 in my head right now that stand out because they're, like you said, they're just gone so quick.
Yeah,
they're really clever, but they're just these bite-sized little pieces, and they don't stand out nearly as much.
The only ones I really remember in Breath of the Wild are the ones that were frustrating because you had to use motion controls to like tilt the platform with the ball on it.
Ugh. Well, there was a cheat on that one. Did you know you could
flip it upside down?
Upside down, yeah. Did you know that, Alyssa?
Oh.
Was that on the Wii? No, that was Breath of the Wild. That was still Switch. Yeah. So there was those labyrinth puzzles, the ones that had like the 2 knobs on each side of a box, and you got to do a marble through a labyrinth puzzle. I'm talking about in physical puzzles, not like in a game. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's like that, but it was in a Zelda puzzle. But instead of it being a thing where you twist the handles, you just hold your Switch remote up and you tilt it to move the ball, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, people figured out that if you just flipped your Switch thing upside down, it switches the entire thing to make just a flat surface, and then the ball just is a flat surface, and you can just roll it right into the goal where you need to go. I don't know if it was designed that way, if that was part of the design or not. Oh. I genuinely don't.
I mean, it's still in there, right? So I guess they weren't mad about it.
But they could have been just like, yeah, guys got me.
Of course, yeah.
It's not worth the effort. So, well, how do you guys feel about puzzles and games that are considered puzzle games? Do you enjoy them, or are you not a fan of the genre? And then, do you have any personal favorites? Alyssa, let's start with you.
I don't really care for the genre because, like I said, I'm pretty dumb when it comes to puzzles unless they're literature-based. But I did really love the Portal games. Like, I powered through those. Well. I wanted to see what was going to happen with GLaDOS in the first one. I wanted to find the cake. So I powered through that one, and it actually wasn't too bad for me. And then the second one was more difficult, but I still enjoyed it. Loved learning about Cave Johnson and all that. And was it Wheatley? Was it Wheatley?
Wheatley, yeah.
Yep.
That game was so good at telling a story that felt like you were playing a story, even though all you were doing was solving puzzles.
Yeah, I think that's what I loved about it, was because it felt like I was actually like progressing the narrative by doing the puzzles.
Yeah.
But usually I don't really like puzzle games, and I try to avoid them.
All right. How about you, Zack?
Yeah, I think obviously Portal, right, is going to be the exception, because it tells the story so well, and it's a lot of fun, and it's very charming. But I think straight up just puzzle games don't hold a lot of appeal for me. I think it's mostly just because the stories, they don't usually have a compelling story. In my experience, I'm sure I'm missing a bunch in the genre. But then also the way they tell the story is usually just like narration or interstitials in between the puzzles, and it's just not typically engaging. So it doesn't. I don't feel like they do a lot for me. I do want to try Talos Principle because I've heard that one's pretty good. Like a lot of philosophical ruminations and stuff like that.
We're going to talk about that one shortly.
But a game like The Witness, I was already, it was already an uphill battle for me because I think when it launched, it did not have a colorblind mode and it has a lot of color puzzles. So it was not, I don't think I could have done it anyway, but it was also just not, I didn't feel like engaged in the world or anything like that. It just feels like puzzle for the sake of puzzles.
And that's a puzzle game that makes me feel stupid.
Yeah.
Like, if I have to pull out a pad of paper to take notes to remember stuff, I'm probably not going to be interested in playing your game. Like, remember, I don't know if you guys had this frustration when you were younger, but I tried playing Myst when I was a kid, and that game doesn't even tell you what you're supposed to do. It just says, here's this thing, solve it.
Yeah.
And I think ever since then I've been scared of puzzle games, but
I understand. I was looking through my game cases because I was rearranging my shelf, and in my Splinter Cell Double Agent case, the game has a Sudoku puzzle you have to solve to progress the story.
Oh yeah,
on Xbox, which really makes a lot of sense in a military stealth game.
Yeah,
but I have a handwritten note with instructions on how to do the Sudoku puzzle for whenever I replayed it.
That's adorable.
Yeah, because I hated it so much.
I've never been able to solve Sudoku.
No?
Mm-mm. I do like the, is it nonogram? Is that how you say it? Nonogram?
Nonograms?
Yeah, I do like those for some reason. But Sudoku, I've never solved a single puzzle.
Oh, really?
I'm not good with numbers.
The Double Agent one is cruel. It's not just Sudoku, it's a 3D cube Sudoku.
Ugh.
Terrible.
Ugh. I wish I had all the handwritten stuff that I kept in the inserts of games when I was a kid. That would be so much fun to go back and look at.
It is fun. I also have like a handwritten on Warrior Within. You have to get all the health upgrades for the alternate ending. So I wrote a little note to myself of like, hey, don't forget to, when you get to this part, don't forget to like hang off the edge to the left because there's a secret health upgrade there.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It is cool that I managed to keep that.
Yeah, we used to record, my buddy figured out how to record gameplay onto a VCR when I was a kid. So I had aspirations of like doing, like walkthroughs and stuff like that back before that was a thing.
Dude, you were the problem. You were trying to get rid of text walkthroughs already.
Yeah, dude. And that was even before I discovered GameFAQs.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Like, no, it wasn't even so much for walkthroughs. It was more because like I wanted to watch him play a game that I didn't have. You know what I mean? Like, because he was stingy about loaning me his games. But I wanted to see the game. I say I don't like to watch Twitch now, and I don't because I got plenty of stuff to play. But when you're a kid and you don't have the time or you have the time, you don't have the resources to get the games to feed your habit of playing games or your desire to play games, you're okay watching somebody else play a game because at least you get to see the game. So
when you you don't have an annoying person narrating it.
Exactly.
That's true.
There's no way to do that. Or there probably was, but we weren't. That was. As for me, I like puzzle games, but I liked them a lot more when I was younger. Again, for some of the same reasons. Like I felt like when I was younger and I didn't have oodles and oodles of games to play that are grabbing my attention much better than a puzzle game, sure, I'm going to. But for it to be something I'm going to really dive into now, it either has to be something that is story-driven like Portal, or it needs to be something that is so chill that I'm not really racking my brain, I'm just relaxing. And I'm thinking games like Match 3 puzzles. Like, you guys ever play Zuma on Xbox? Which is a silly little marble matching game, but it's simple, it's easy, there's not much to it. And if I need to just clear my head for a while, I'm okay with those. I had a list though. I'm surprised that I came up with as many as I did. The Professor Layton games. You guys remember those?
I tried to play those, but I was terrible at them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I did not care for those. I remember I reviewed one for a different website for you guys. That a mobile game one. Yeah, that's the only one I really played to completion.
I remember moving a lot of matches.
Yeah, they did love the matches. You're right.
Yeah. The Pedestrian is a newer one that I actually really enjoyed. That was the one where you play as the little stick figures from road signs and everything.
Oh my god, yeah, I forgot all about that game.
That's a clever game, man. That's a really clever game. I like escape room type stuff. So I talked about Nescape, which was the 8-bit game that I reviewed. That one's really short. But if you guys ever played The Room, I think there's actually 3 The Rooms.
I think so.
Which is basically like a giant puzzle box. I really enjoyed those.
Oh, I did. I liked the first one quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Those are really clever. Catherine, but I think that one was
intriguing. I did like that one. Yeah, but because the story.
Yeah, again, it was driven by the story.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. That is just a total puzzle game. You're right.
It is, yeah.
I mean, there's some dialogue choice stuff, right? But it's always at the end of the puzzle thing.
Well, you can add that to my list. I love Cath.
I do too.
Yeah, you can add that one to mine as well.
Braid, I would consider a puzzle game, even though it's platformer-ish, and that had a pretty interesting story. But that was a game that you could rewind and go back. Now we do that in like all of the remakes of NES games. You just have a rewind function to do it, but that was a new concept.
I mean, that was the whole reason I played it. I was like, "Oh, this is like Sands of Time. I'm in."
Yeah. Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes.
Oh, yeah.
Is a co-op party game, puzzle game. You don't like that game?
Well, I don't know. The only person I played it was with my ex-wife, so it didn't go too well.
Bad memories.
Oh, yeah. You play that with a group full of people that are relatively intelligent. That is a grand time. We literally we were playing it in VR. So one person was the bomb guy, and then we all had the booklet or whatever. We were at my buddy's house, and she was in kindergarten at the time, and we had like her easel, like chalkboard easel, like for kids. We were literally using that to like calculate stuff to solve the puzzles and everything like that. It was.
Oh, that sounds
awesome.
cute.
It was really good. You guys already mentioned Portal 2, and my last one might be my favorite puzzle game of all time. It is Tetris Attack, which is a spin on Tetris that I absolutely loved when I was a kid. It's all squares, but they're all colors, and you just take two squares and you switch them back and forth to make them match up. And for whatever reason, that game clicked with me, which is weird because the switching back and forth thing usually doesn't click with me, but it does for that game. And I loved it. Oh, one other one. This one, I guarantee you most of our audience has not heard of. Oh, my goodness. And I can't remember what it was called.
You haven't even heard of it.
No, I've heard of it, but I just the name just left me. It was a poker-based puzzle game, like a Tetris-style game, but all of the squares were playing cards. Oh. And the only way that you could clear them, like
Poker Smash?
Poker Smash, thank you. Yeah. That's it. Poker Smash. The only way you could clear them was to get poker hands. So you had to, number one, know poker hands, but you had to also like look for ways to line them up. And I have a love-hate relationship with this game because my wife wanted to play this all the time because I could not beat her at this game. It's okay if it's once in a while or we have an even amount of like, oh, she won that one, I won this. I literally could not beat her. I don't know why this game clicked with her so well, but she absolutely loves Poker Smash. So
was it an Xbox Live Arcade game?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was download only. It had to have been, yeah. I don't think it was one of the Summer of Arcade ones, but yeah, that was a download game for sure. So, good game. Good game. All right, well, let's go ahead and see what our community's thought about this. We'll start over on Facebook. Alyssa, why don't you kick things off with AJ's comment?
Okay, AJ, is it Jungbluth?
You say Jungbluth?
Jungbluth? My favorite puzzle games of all time are Tetris and Dr. Mario. I do also enjoy puzzles wrapped within the action of games, such as what we have seen in Resident Evil, God of War, etc. I am far better at pure puzzle games than action games, so I tend to gravitate more towards pure puzzle games simply because I am better at them, LOL.
Yeah, this comment reminds me of Drop 7, a mobile game that is like Tetris with numbers. I love this game.
I can't wrap my head around the game, dude. I've tried so many times to play that game. I don't get it. I don't know why it doesn't click with me.
Yeah, I think it's great. It is like, it's hard to explain the rules without having it in front of the person, though.
Yeah.
But I like that game a lot.
Also, I have never understood the love for Dr. Mario. I don't.
Is that the one where you line up pills? It's kind of like Tetris,
yes.
But I never played that, but I used to see it in, I think it was Electronic Gamer Magazine. I'd read that over and over, and I'd always see an article about that.
Yeah, you have to line up the colors of the pills in line with the viruses. You had to, in order to clear each stage, you had to kill all the viruses.
Yeah, I did like it was a puzzle game with an objective, but I don't understand the like adoration for Dr. Mario.
I don't either.
Other than Mario does look adorable dressed up as a doctor.
I don't think he's got a medical license, but
yeah,
Zach?
I wouldn't trust him with a suppository. That's true. Kevin Honigford writes in, I do enjoy a good puzzle so long as that's not the focus of the entire game. If the entirety of the game is puzzle, I'll still enjoy it, but only play it at increments here and there when I'm in between games. I need some sort of action or drama to accompany them. Breath of the Wild was one of my favorites because it balanced puzzles and action almost perfectly. There's always the exception, though, which is for me is Portal 2. But I have a feeling this one will already have been discussed by the time you get here. Yeah, I mean, Portal. It's the king of the genre, it feels like, right?
It does. It really marries both of those things together just perfectly.
Yeah, and it was just, witty, I guess is the word.
Mm-hmm.
It was. And the quotable. Anytime a puzzle game has quotable lines, that
also
says something.
Those in-credit songs in both of those games. I love those.
Oh yeah, Still Alive's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Good times. Did I tell you? I feel like I've told this story before, so I apologize if I have. But my buddy works for a company that somebody quit, and they left the lyrics to Still Alive, like as their like.
Oh, that's awesome.
as their like resignation letter or whatever.
That's pretty baller.
Because isn't that the one that says something like maybe Black Mesa?
Yeah.
That was a joke. Ha, fat chance. And a lot of those guys had no idea what Portal was.
So you just thought they were insane?
Yeah.
Like, maybe it's good this guy resigned.
He's like, maybe Black Mesa. What is this? He thought he wrote it. So he thought he was definitely a loon. Bad chance.
Oh, that song's so good.
It is. Marlena Alyssa O'Bannon says, Talos Principle is one of my favorite games. Beautiful, challenging. It was one of the few where you chose the ending moment. Puzzle games always keep my mind spinning, and I feel a strong compulsion to finish them. Like I can't let them win. LOL. Talos is a must-play, though. Play it. Do it. Marlena, I have Talos Principle, and I tried it, and I got the binary puzzle thing at the very beginning, so I gave up, but I may have to give it another chance, because that box art is intriguing as hell.
The one with the robot petting the cat?
Yes.
Yeah. It does look beautiful. Yeah. And by the way, Marlena, I like your middle name.
I think later in Talos Principle there are a lot of light reflection puzzles.
Oh, okay.
That's what always intrigued me about it, is when I heard that.
Gotcha. Well, thank you, Marlena. I appreciate it. Alyssa, you're up.
Over on Discord, Thomas Specs writes in, as the majority of games that I play are adventure games, puzzles are an important part of it. I'd love to do the puzzles, but they have to be logical and not apply moon logic like many of the early games had a habit of doing. They should also fit in the story of the game. A game like Call of the Sea is very heavy on the puzzles, and that is a fantastic game. I did actually play that one, and even though it is very difficult, at least it was for me, I really enjoyed that one. Sissy Jones, phenomenal in that game.
It cracks me up that he talks about moon logic, and the puzzles have to have something to do with the story, but he and I both love the Monkey Island games where you have to use a rubber chicken with a pulley in the middle in every game. I mean, granted, by the second game, you're familiar with the joke, but yeah, I know what he means though. With a lot of those point-and-click adventures, you would combine things that just didn't make any sense. What was the one I played recently? Lucid Dreaming.
Mm-hmm.
That I played that had some. How did you come up with that, or how was I supposed to figure that out, kind of thing. If I can't figure it out, it's not going to be rewarding. So, but yeah. All right, Zach.
Drew Ross writes, I've tried puzzle games many times, but can never get into them. The only puzzle game I enjoyed and actually finished was Portal. Great game. Now I need to get around to playing the sequel. See?
Yes, you
Portal,
do.
Man. The first one's better, Drew, but the second one's still great.
Oh, why is the first one better?
I don't know. I liked it.
What did you like better about the first one?
Perhaps its simplicity, or
okay.
I mean, I think the first game is funnier, so that's probably it for me, I guess.
Oh. You don't like annoying, charming little robotic characters.
I like.
Wheatley reminded you of Borderlands.
Wheatley is fine. Everything about Portal 2 was still great. Don't get me wrong. I just like the first game more.
You don't have a cute little companion cube in the second one either.
That's true. You don't burn a companion cube. You don't have that revelatory moment of going like behind the scenes of the puzzle areas or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So the first game had all that mystery to it, I guess. Mm-hmm. The second game just couldn't replicate.
Yeah, I mean you can't.
Yeah,
and not without starting over.
The ending is something else. Portal 2.
Ending is great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I saw that twinkle, I was like, "Oh no, we did not just do that."
Pretty crazy.
That was a glorious moment. Is it my turn?
It is.
Yeah.
Mark Szymanski says puzzle games are great. Recently loved games like Viewfinder and Cramped Room of Death. I don't know that one. Cramped Room of Death. Have you guys heard of that one?
No.
I've never heard of it.
They keep me coming back for more. Puzzles in non-puzzle games are usually a highlight. Even the simple ones like the Alohomora puzzle in Hogwarts Legacy. Did I pronounce that correctly?
This supposed to be, I thought it was Alohomora.
Alohomora?
It's been a long time since I've watched the Harry Potter movies or read the books, though, so I could be wrong.
Or the Leviosa, not Wingardium Leviosa.
Or the wavelength matching in the first Spider-Man made me keep seeking out those opportunities in each area. I've brought up Zenji for the Atari 400 in the past as my intro to puzzle games. That set the tone. They're fun and make me feel like I'm using my brain at the same time. Zenji. I don't remember Zenji.
Nor do I. I do like those little brief things like the Alohomora puzzle or the lockpicking in Splinter Cell or even little wavelength things in Spider-Man or Arkham. Those are just fun little neat pace breakers that I appreciate.
Yeah.
I'm with Mark on that one.
Oh, wow. Zenji is a lot more complicated than I thought it was going to be.
Oh, yeah?
Like, I just, I grew up with the Atari 2600, so when I hear 400, I just think it's going to be the inferior. But this is a solid-looking game. 1984.
That's insane, man. 40 years old, that game.
That's nuts. All right, who's up? Alyssa?
Yep. Paul Hine writes in, when I think of puzzles and games, I can't help but think back to the point-and-click adventure game days of all those awesome LucasArts and Sierra Entertainment games of yore. Indiana Jones, Space Quest, etc. Use this object here, but if you didn't pick it up in Act 1, you were completely hosed. As a 10-year-old, this seemed okay, fun even. As an adult, I confess I find myself going to YouTube or GameSpot just to get through it. My attention span and tolerance for puzzles has definitely diminished over time.
See, I don't think that's age. I think that's technology. It's made us all intolerant for inconvenience.
Probably, and just the fact that we have so much games available to us that, like, why am I beating my head against the wall with this puzzle when I could be playing something else that would be fun?
But then think about how rewarding it was when you did figure out the aquatic cistern in Tomb Raider. You're like, oh, it's so satisfying. But now you would just go to YouTube or a walkthrough and figure it out right away because you're like, I don't know what to do.
I mean, that's a self-control thing too, right? I don't have the self-control to not look at YouTube.
No, you're right. It is ultimately self-control, but the world is set up in a way to try to erode your self-control.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you.
Yeah.
That's it, right? That's all the comments?
Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
Well, thank you to everybody that wrote in on that one. I appreciate it. I can't believe we've gone that long without talking about just puzzles. Like, it's just never been a topic. So stay tuned to the social media outlets. Next week, we're going to talk about spoilers. Yes, I know we talked about spoilers in the past, about specific ones, but we're going to talk how we feel about it. What is the appropriate time to talk openly about story beats in the games? And how big of jerks are people that spoil games for other people? We're going to kind of take it.
Boy, do I have some thoughts.
Zach's ready to go.
We're going to take a deep dive into that next week, so stay tuned.
I can't wait to hear you guys tell me why you can't spoil 25-year-old JRPGs.
I have a specific reason why we couldn't spoil Final Fantasy VII. It's one person that probably doesn't even listen to the show, but it's more me just.
I understand.
Just in case.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll get there. Stay tuned for next week. But that's going to do it for this episode of The Gaming Outsider. Thanks so much for listening. This episode was produced by Kevin Honigford. All the music you hear is written and performed by Grant Henry of Stemage and Metroid Metal. His website is stemagemusic.com. Please check it out if you're looking for music in your game. He's got tons of stuff that he's put out there. He's an awesome dude, too. And our Game of the Year episode is getting closer and closer. We're only a couple months away. It's like the one day a year we get to have Grant on the show, and it's super, super fun. So Also, please be sure to email us if you have any questions or concerns. Our address is feedback@thegamingoutsider.com. Zach, do you have any parting words or recommendations for our listeners before we leave?
Always remember, guys, if you spoil who Luke's dad is, you're a jerk. Okay? That's not open information, and it's very rude. But really, I've been watching this animated show on Netflix, Blue Eye Samurai, which I mistakenly thought was an anime, and I was corrected quite harshly because it's a North American animated show. But yeah, this is a great show if you're looking for some blood, violence, nudity, all the good stuff in life. Blue Eye Samurai is the way to go. This show does not hold back. The main character is very compelling. She just not afraid to, kill an innocent person or two to get their way, kind of thing. Just a very dark protagonist, which I always appreciate. But it's a very simple story about it's like in 1633, 17th century Japan. So the borders were closed. There weren't white people allowed. But the main character is half Caucasian, half Japanese, and everyone thinks of them as a monster because of it, because of her blue eyes. So it's a compelling story, and then she swears revenge on their only four white men in Japan, and she has sworn to kill them all because of the terrible life it made for her and her mother to be born. So it's just super brutal. It's awesome. Highly recommended.
Very cool. Alyssa, how about you?
Well, most people on Instagram know what I've enjoyed this past week because I've been obnoxious about it. But I have loved, it just came out Friday too. Stray Kids' new album, Rockstar. Every song is amazing. You can't skip any of them. I've been listening to it nonstop. And
the Stray Kids, like the punk band?
No, they are a K-pop group.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of a different band.
So, if anyone watches my Instagram stories, I know I don't want to out them just in case they don't want people to know they're into K-pop, but there is someone in the community that listens to K-pop, and I just outed the gender. He does message me sometimes.
Most of our audience is male. I think you're safe.
Which I appreciate, and if I ever miss your message, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm probably annoying people by posting all this stuff about Stray Kids on my Instagram story, but I don't really care because I'm into it. Yeah, great album. Every song has some English in it, but then also Korean. Just all great songs. All amazing.
Nice. I got two quick ones, and the reason I'm going to do two is because one is only for our local listeners. If you're in Rockford, I discovered a new restaurant that is an Indonesian restaurant. It's called Bento and Bowl, and I've been there 4 or 5 times already, and I only discovered them a couple weeks ago. It is really, really good, and I highly recommend them. And it's just the owner. I actually met her in person yesterday. She's super sweet, and just they've got a neat little shop, and I love their food, and their prices are shockingly affordable. Like, it's not like what I pay for here. I pay like $9 at this place, and I would have paid for the same portion like $15 at a Thai place that I used to go to before they closed. So if you're local, please check them out because I don't want them to go away. The last business that was in this location on Alpine was a Hispanic or Mexican food restaurant, and I loved them, and they didn't make it very long. So I don't want this place to go anywhere. I want them to keep going. So please check out Bento and Bowl. But my real recommendation is our friends over at the Hollywood Outsider have a new spin-off podcast called Inspired by a True Story. If you're not familiar with it, it is them taking a look. It's kind of like a cross between true crime and a movie review. Because what they do is they find a true crime story that a film has been based on, and they talk about the actual crime, and then they compare it to the movie, see how accurate it was to the movie, what liberties they took, and they kind of review the movie, and it's a really fun way. It inspired me to go back and rewatch the Scream movies. I've already made it through the first 2, because I did not know Scream was based on a real crime. But Inspired by a True Story, I highly recommend everybody check it out. It is a lot of fun. Well, that's it, everybody. Zach, thanks for being here. Alyssa, thanks for being here. It is a pleasure as always. And until next week, I'm Scott Clark with Alyssa White and Zach Parkerson, and we are The Gaming Outsider. And remember, there's no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you.